All right, so
Okay.
we're started up here, guys. I'm going to tweet out in about 10 seconds here, and then we'll see. And then very early in this conversation, Timmy, we're going to have to talk about that wall of wax behind you, man.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I use my phone is so it's mobile. So if you guys want, I can walk it back there and give you the executive tour.
Yeah, I would just like to see all the stuff that is purchasable so that we can rip it.
Well, hey, you get enough cash, then anything is purchasable.
Everything's negotiable. What's up, Josh? So Josh is in the chat. How's it going, buddy?
What's up, Josh?
We are live. Come say hey. We're talking all things sports. Josh, how are you doing, man? How are your Josh, didn't you open a couple of boxes? Like for personals here? Dave, how you doing? Timmy! He says, Timmy, good to see you. Dude, I can't wait for our another late night B-dubs run with all the boys.
You know what? That's going to be pretty high up on the list when we get when we're allowed to convene. There will be a few beers enjoyed and some wings for sure.
Yes. That's probably like top 2 of the list. I don't know what the other one might be. It's probably number 1, but I should probably leave a little margin there just in case of something. So.
Number 1 is just not being here for a day. That would be
that would be. So Robert's in the chat. He's asking, where do we get that new Mosaic 2020 basketball? So Robert, from what I understand, there's going to be, much like Prism and Optic, there's going to be hobby variations, which isn't released yet. So there's going to be hobby boxes. I think they're going to have some variation, like Fast Break or something. But like blasters, hangers, megas, and cellos are all available in the big box stores, I believe now. I've not seen any, and I've not ripped any because I don't want to risk going out to the big stores. But I know there've been a lot of people that have enjoyed it. So Mike or Tim, have you guys seen Mosaic or heard anything about it? It looks pretty cool.
It looks pretty cool. I haven't seen it locally yet. We are pretty spotty on the retail stuff in my area, so I'm not sure if I'll even get a chance to, but it looks interesting. I know they separated it from Prism this year, though. Is that gonna... I'm not as much of a basketball guy. Does that bring it down a little bit?
No, I think they just kind of made it their own, just like an additional set. I think it had some level of popularity in the last couple years. I think right now they could, Panini or anyone else could just say, here's any basketball product, and it would be, it'd be nuts. But the cards do look really good. They look like the Superfractors out of Prism, so they all look really cool. But I haven't seen too much of it yet because I haven't been able to get out yet. So
I have a couple of hunters in the West Michigan area, and I mean I don't know for sure, but it doesn't really sound like much is even hitting the shelf.
No.
So kind of like what happened around here with the Prism, but I'm definitely seeing the singles hit the market. That's for sure.
Well, and I know this much. There's certainly been no shortage of people on social media reaching out and saying, "Hey, are you interested in this?" And it's surprising because the Mosaic markup on the retail boxes on the secondary market is almost as high as Prism, which I'm like. People are like, hey, you want to buy cellos? I'm selling them at $30, $35 a pack. And I'm like, no. I don't think it's there yet, but, it is new basketball, so I think that's what has people so excited. But I think the secondary market's a little overpriced. I think that will come down significantly once the hobby stuff releases, whenever that is.
Well, and just for something to rip, I mean, we're in a position right now where with the big guys being down, any new product right now is going to command premiums.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And I think plus you got the international buyers out there that might not even have any availability to it, and it's basketball. They're going to be on that so quickly. So you might catch a couple fish while you're at the top end there at the $30-some, and then hopefully they'll come down quickly. Because I don't think a lot of domestic collectors are going to pay that markup on it.
Yeah, I don't either. And
especially when you have to worry about maybe their search and stuff like that when you're dealing with eBay.
It's probably
I'm
one
not
of the
going to pay
last
a
retail
3x
products, right?
markup on something like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's probably one of the last retail products that will really hit. I mean, I'm not sure because when you look at what's coming out in the future, you got Noir, Obsidian, NT, Flawless, and all those are going to be those aren't going to have retail components. So it's new retail, which means it's technically affordable. So yeah, I mean, who knows?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you can grab it at Walmart or Target or wherever you can grab retail at retail, that's definitely a good pickup, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, hey, it's new basketball. It's something like you guys said, it's something to rip right now, which is always exciting. So I just want to know, Tim, how many searchers you got out there? I mean, I need to know who I'm competing against because I'll tell you, as of right now, I'm not trying too hard.
Yeah, I mean, I have 2 right now. That's what I'm down to in regards to anybody that I would work with.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is just West Michigan, Western Central Michigan. So it's not like I have people all over the country looking. I myself, I'm not going to go into a store right now. It's not worth it to me. So I'll pay the premium, but those prices at $35 a pack.
I think it would be much more reasonable when Hobby comes out because, I got an allocation of Hobby, so I wanted to get something to break. So I'm sure the Hobby product will be a little bit nicer as well. So there'll be a window there where that'll be really popular, but it's on hold just like everything else. And there's 4 or 5 really good basketball sets waiting to come out. So what will be interesting to see is once Texas opens their doors, Panini starts printing again. Are we going to see like a new product in almost all sports every week?
I hope not.
I hope not either. Now, from a breaker's perspective, I will say it would be awesome. But from a consumer perspective, flooding the market, I don't think would be the great idea.
I don't even think it'd be good for breakers because it's just going to be flooded because you're not gonna break one thing a week and then move on. I'll take that back. Yeah, I'll take that back. That might be wrong, but to have if they do bring it all out that much at once, for over all the sports, it's just gonna. I don't know. I think things will get lost. I
agree. You'll have sets that typically are collectible and fun to rip, and they'll get lost in the mire because a new product was the week before and a new product's the week after. But we don't know. As of right now, everything's kind of mushy around May. It just says May for some of these release dates. So, but the last definitive is really the last true Hobby product that stayed on schedule, even though it was pushed back. So, as of right now, with Topps Upper Deck and Panini, we're waiting for everything. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens or what that does. But I'll tell you what it has done. And Mike, I know that you probably vouch for this, being a real big eBay seller, is that it's really helped maintain and hold the value of the products that are on the market right now. I mean, some of the prices I've seen for collegiate stuff is higher than it's ever been, and that's not just because it's a great draft class.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it's been a fantastic spring for football. I mean, I haven't been doing this as long as some other guys, but it certainly beat last spring with leaps and bounds. And I mean, it's a little bit of a better class, I guess you could say. But there's only one product out. There's no contenders. Score's not out yet. And I mean, the Prism draft picks, I mean, you're seeing I've never seen the Leaf stuff go for this much.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's really, really taken off. And I mean, it's a nice product this year too. I mean, he did a good job with it. And I mean, you even got Jordan Love's going to start coming up in price now. Yeah. And I mean, right now you're looking at $20 a piece for Joe Burrow silvers, $16, $17 for Tua's. And I mean, Jordan Love's down around $2-3. So that's something I've written down. I wanted to just kind of give out.
Yeah.
Maybe he might a short term, definitely not a long term with the college products. You got to know that at some point these pro products are going to come out. College products are going to take a back seat. But in the short term, there's definitely some flippability. And one of the things I really like this year is these wide receivers. I think are really collectible.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Totally. It's such a phenomenal skilled position draft this year. You do have a couple of big defenders like Chase Young that I think will be collectible,
Oh yeah.
but you look at, I mean, you got 10 possible receivers, you got 5 or 6 good running backs, you have multiple quarterbacks, 3 of which that will probably be starting very, very soon, if not day one. And then you never know who's going to emerge out of the quagmire. So it's such a good class this year, and I think it's going to dwarf what last year was. And I think football is really going to kind of take over again with popularity and collectability. Basketball was kind of the thing this year. The basketball class looks good for next year, but nowhere near as it was this year. So it'll be interesting to see if they roll reverse or if both just stay on the heater path that they're on.
Yeah, it might actually have been a blessing in disguise for basketball with how weak that class is going to be next year. It'll double up the 2020 21 class then, but you'll get a second shot on Zion and Ja stuff, kind of like an extended period, I guess, before those next guys get a chance to come in and take some of the heat off them.
Yeah.
So I think it really helped. And some of these other guys, the lesser guys like Tyler Hero and RJ Barrett, they're going to have some time to shine before any of these other guys come up and start, again, stealing their shine. So, I mean, I think hey, I think it could work out for some basketball people for
Sure.
absolutely. Yeah.
So Dallas in the chat asked, he's got an opinion question. He wants to know, he pulled a Joe Burrow autograph. He wants to know if it'd be wise to wait and get it graded or potentially sell it as is. So what do you guys think about Joe Burrow auto? I'm assuming it's a collegiate product now. I know Timmy's your out, but Mike, you definitely have expertise in moving cards quickly. What do you think about Burrow autos as they sit?
I think for college, I think you got to move it now. I can't imagine the college product is going to be holding value once you see Donruss. You start seeing like Elements and Gold Standard and some of the, Immaculate's going to be out there at some point, getting closer to the end of the year. And by the time he actually starts getting a chance to put up enough stats, you figure he's not going to start the year putting up 4 touchdowns a game or anything like that. You hope he goes the Kyler Murray route, has some nice game, plays early in the year. You see some flashes out of him, but by the end of the year, they start putting, some games together, and even if they're not winning, they're at least looking good on offense. He's making some plays, but by the time that happens, you're going to have a lot of these, we're going to have to assume that at some point Texas is going to open, these printing plants are going to open, and these other products are going to come out.
Yeah,
so
I
think at this time, if you got a good Joe Burrow auto, strike while the iron's hot.
I agree. I think most of the people in the market, of course, Joe, I'm rocking the blue Gatorade. I think most of the people market knew that Burrow was going to go to Cincinnati, number 1. So already you have Cincinnati collectors out there looking for his stuff. That was no big secret or surprise. So I think of his things that are on the market right now, all the Leaf products, Prism, and so forth, I think your maximized value is right now. It's right now on those things. As contenders draft picks come out, and to Mike's point, as the NFL licensed product comes out with those new rookies, you will see a downtick in those cards. Long-term value, collegiate cards really, you're looking for people that PC that particular college or want the first autos of guys coming to their teams. But collectability overall, they're definitely not as valuable as some of the NFL products. So my opinion would be is that, if you like Burrow a lot and you think he could have huge potential in the future, you could grade it, you could sit on that auto, but, I think you've got really good value to flip now. I think you're going to have a little uptick. Probably you'll see more with Tua and Herbert because people now know where they're going. There was some mystery there. But I think Burrow was pretty much dead set from day one. So, I think now is the time to probably move that. But you never know. I mean, Mahomes collegiate cards from a couple years ago, Lamar Jackson collegiate card autographs, those are still pretty strong in the marketplace. Not as much value as the NFL stuff, but definitely there's value there. So it's not like it's worthless or anything like that, but I think it's peaking right now.
It's a little bit different though, because when you're talking about a Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson, they weren't Mahomes and Lamar Jackson when the first product came out.
No.
You could get a Mahomes, auto numbered of 10
yeah.
for $23 on eBay. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, with the Burrow, I'm gonna agree with that. Just get it gone. It's gonna. I mean, LSU is a big school, but it's not. USC, Notre Dame. It's
that school in Ohio. It's not any of those. Yeah.
we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we know. No. So Josh wants to know that if products do come out in quick succession, do we see wax prices coming down at all? So Tim, I know that's something you are familiar with, new wax and so forth, with your relationship so close with one of the card shops here in town. So what's your opinion? Do you see prices coming down at all as things start to open back up?
Yeah, I mean, here we're kind of in a perfect storm right now in regard to we have low inventory in regard to the stuff that's coming out, which is basically nothing. When I think that if you do flood the market, if you have one product for each sport coming out every week, people are going to be a bit more choosy. If Score were to come out today, I think that it would be a premium price that you would be getting out of that. But I think that once everything opens up, there's just going to be so much competition for that dollar and there's going to be less boredom. There's going to be less $1,200 checks being deposited into people's bank accounts. So yeah, I think that you could flood the market pretty quickly if we're looking at what I would assume is going to be July, August before everything starts ramping up and getting the new products out.
I think football has a chance to come down a little bit in pricing. I'm not sure how much. I can't speak to baseball. That's still relatively new to me. So Mike, maybe you can take that. But for football, or excuse me, for basketball, I don't think basketball prices are coming down. Maybe some of the not as popular sets, but I mean, Prism is not getting any cheaper. I've watched that over the last 3 months rise every single week, and I remember when you can buy hanger boxes at retail stores for $19.99 and on the secondary market for $30, and those hanger boxes are now $145, and they were $140 a week ago. So it's just basketball. I think is going to continue to climb, especially in the main sets. Things like Revolution might see a little dip. Football, I think, is also kind of peaking. I think it's a big supply thing more than anything. As more supply comes out, I think all of a sudden those distributors will probably go, maybe I don't want to be stuck with 900 cases of Gold Standards or Obsidian or whatever. And so we'll start to hopefully see some prices come down there. I don't think it's going to hold as crazy as the basketball market. So, but until that new stuff hits, I mean, the distributors I talk to all the time throughout the week, it's funny. It's like literally the price they quote me for cases and for boxes are good for that day. And the next day it might rise as much as $10 to $50. It's crazy, or more. It's crazy. I've seen case prices jump $1,000 in 48 hours. So it's just the market is unprecedented right now as we're going through unprecedented times. So, it's nuts out there.
I think we'd all love that. The prices would come down, but the products are going to come out and they're going to be what they are. And unless the demand doesn't meet the supply, the price isn't going to come down. And I mean, with the way the demand is right now, COVID or no COVID, football's popping. I don't think the prices are going to come down, even if you might see some trickle down effect on the secondary market with some people will get stuck with some product and want to off it, but I don't think at the initial offering you're going to see any kind of.
Yeah, so Josh was commenting in the chat about how definitive boxes have jumped $700. I mean, I think pre-sale on those cases were like, I think pre-sale was like $3,200, maybe a little bit lower, and I think replacement. So like, if you tried to buy a case of definitive today, I think it's going to come out again from the retailers at like $5,300 to $5,500 a case. So it's crazy. And I mean, the product came out Friday. It is nuts. But that's the market we're in. And selfishly, I would tell you that I think that's why breakers are so popular right now, because the product's getting inexpensive, but you could still buy into a break at a relatively inexpensive cost, get the players and the teams that you're looking for, without having to spend that huge amount of money on a box or a case. So there's still options out there. Oh, Brad asked a really good question, and you guys, I think, would have great answers for this. I'm very curious what you think. Brad wants to know, if he was to buy one case and flip it in a month for the largest amount of profit, what would you buy? That's a really good question, Brad. So what do you guys think?
Which month?
Well, let's just say if you bought it right now and in 30 days you wanted to flip it, what would you buy?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I think that the 2019 Prism football is way undervalued.
Agreed.
The amount of sexy positions that are starters. I think that especially going into training camp, you're going to start seeing them be, getting a lot more spotlight. I mean, I'm not just talking about Murray. But there's a lot of quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs from last year that are undervalued, and I think that a case of 2019 football, if you can hold it on to it, probably not a month, but if you can hold on to it for the first week of September, you probably double your money.
Yeah,
I can't argue with that. In my head, I was debating between Prism and Spectra. They were my two best products last year. It wasn't even besides Donruss. I mean, those are the three that I made the most money on, and I mean, they were all hot last year. And I mean, Spectre was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I know that was one of your favorites, Mike.
It hasn't peaked yet. That's
No.
the thing. There's way too much unnoticed talent out
I agree.
there.
Totally agree.
Yeah, for me, Brad, I think a month is probably too soon, given that there's no product out. I think product's already too expensive. I think if you're looking for real long-term value outside of that, I would still look at buying Prism basketball. I still think that hasn't reached the peak. I think it's going to continue to climb. And there's still great cards in there that people are discovering. Kobe's last cards in there are strong. LeBron's cards, first Laker jerseys, have soared in value. So there's tons of stuff right there. Also, maybe I think baseball will probably start sooner than a lot of sports. Because you have some teams that are used to playing with no fans, like Tampa. But so I mean, you might actually get good value in some of the baseball sets, whether that's Series 1, flagship this year, which has a lot of great rookies. Last year, Topps Chrome. I mean, there's a lot of good baseball sets out there too that might be flippable as that game comes back and new stars emerge as they get playing. I mean, in my opinion, outside of basketball, they're probably the first to probably get back to work. So we'll see what happens. But
yeah, I think if you're holding on some, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was if you're holding on some Series 1 or some Heritage rookies and some good stuff out of those two in baseball, once the season starts, I think once guys start playing well, you're going to see that each of those guys, the products are going to follow right along with it.
All right, so I got an offshoot of that question. So at the beginning of the year, so in early January, I said there's 3 cards that I want to buy as my bucket list cards because 1, I wanted them in my PC. 2, I thought they had tremendous upside and we're gonna shoot up in value throughout the year. And that was the 86-87 Fleer Jordan rookie, the 11 Trout update, and the LeBron James Topps Chrome. And all 3 of those have soared in value. I was lucky to get 2 of them. Never got the Jordan, but I got 2 of them. So what about today? Today, what are your 1 or 2, maybe 3 cards total that you would purchase now that you think are going to have extreme value by the end of the year? I mean, might see a 50% increase or even greater. What do you think?
Haskins.
Haskins? Really? Haskins. I'm on the Haskins train, man. I love that question. So why, Timmy?
I mean, his cards are way undervalued right now. To go out and purchase, I think we have on eBay right now with All-Star, we have a Spectra. I'm not going to look it up right now, but it's a Spectra auto. I think we got $39.99 on it, numbered at 75 or 100. It is, that's enough that's a price point where you can go out and buy, bulk. And that's how you're really gonna, flip it, a good flip is if you can, buy several of them and move them. I would buy only the pro unis.
Yeah.
Stick with Prism, Spectra, National Treasures, Flawless. It's just undervalued. I think that they're putting enough weapons around him. I have a lot of faith in Ron Rivera coming in there, and it'll be good for them for Washington.
I missed most of the draft yesterday because I was breaking. I did see day one. Mike, did you catch it? How did Redskins do? Did they add more depth and talent? I didn't get a chance to really see what they did so much in the draft.
Here, I'm going to pull them up right now.
They picked up Chase Young at number 2, which was,
that's huge. Yeah, absolutely.
They grabbed a receiver from Memphis. They were pretty uninspiring, to be honest. They grabbed Gandy Golden, who I heard a little bit about from Liberty. I actually like him better than Gibson from Memphis. They did a pretty usual uninspiring draft from the Redskins, so I don't know that they did much to help them. But they got some good pieces around them. And I do think that team's going to be a lot better. I think the Eagles took a step backwards. I'm not sure that the Cowboys got any better. The Giants have plenty of question marks. So I think Timmy's absolutely right that Haskins is a great pickup right now. All kinds of opportunity with him. And you're always just looking for opportunity. I think Drew Lock's got a similar opportunity. In Denver, they picked up a bunch of weapons to go around him. They picked up Melvin Gordon in the offseason. Noah Fant last year. Cortland Sutton's really came into his own. So I think
and then they drafted. Who was the receiver they just drafted? One of the big ones, right? Was it Judy or?
They grabbed Judy, and they also were able to grab somebody I think is a stud. I think KJ Hamler could be the next Tyreek Hill.
I mean, they loaded that.
I love that kid, man.
Locke's got weapons. He's gonna have weapons.
He's got weapons. The defense doesn't suck. They're in a division that's going to be competitive. You got to figure the Chiefs will come back to earth just because we all know that's what happens to Super Bowl teams. As much as we think they're invincible, we always see them a little shine come off the Super Bowl champions the next year. They're always going to get everybody's best game.
Yeah.
They lost some personnel changes, some coaching changes. So, I still think they're odds-on favorite to win the AFC without a question, but they're not going to just run away with it, I don't think.
No. It's a loaded division, but yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I think a lot of the 2019 quarterbacks are extremely undervalued. Kyler's already at a high point. I think adding Hopkins is going to be incredible for him. I think they're going to be really good next year. But his value is already up there. Drew Lock is starting to climb fast too. I agree with you, Tim. I think Haskins, and I might be the only one on the planet that's on the Gardner Minshew train, but he's the biggest risk to me because if he succeeds, you can steal his cards right now. But he is also probably the biggest potential of the 2019 quarterbacks to be replaced by a new quarterback next year. So he doesn't
have to set the world on fire for his values to go up. He has to have a couple of good games. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still Jacksonville. So, I mean, if we can get out there and win a couple of games, and this is coming from a Detroit fan, so I feel the pain.
So, Greg in the chat says, what about Easton Stick? Greg, I don't think we're going to see Easton Stick. I think it's going to be Herbert from day one, and Stick will be a backup at best. I think they're going to get – I mean, you don't take a kid with the 6th pick and not play him. So he's going to be in there. I would say that Stidham, I'd sell Stidham right now. All the Patriots people that are going crazy that think he's the second coming, his days are numbered. And it's 16 games because they're not playing in the playoffs. And he's going to be replaced by some quarterback next year for sure. So unless he lights the world on fire, and I don't know how he's going to do that considering they have no weapons whatsoever in that. And even with Belichick, they're in trouble this year. So
do you guys think the Buccaneers get a little bit of a bump overall because it seems like the Patriots might be doing a little tank for Lawrence type deal, and I think the fans have accepted it. They're not mad at Brady, so they're going to maybe quietly root for the Buccaneers a little bit this year.
I mean, I always love rooting for teams that perennially have done bad. You know, and I know Tampa Bay had a good run, but I mean that's why I got on the Browns bandwagon a couple years ago. I mean, I don't like to see teams lose for long periods of time. So I guess that's why I'm a Lions fan. But you know, it's just I think Tampa Bay is going to be extremely good. Another division where you know it's New Orleans to lose still, but they gave Brady weapons. I think they addressed some issues with the run game. You know, they stole worse. I mean, that has got to be the best pick of the draft, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm not just saying that because he was an Iowa guy, but yeah, I think they're going to be really good. I don't know how much Tom has left in the tank, but if you're in a goal line situation, you know, 2nd and 4, and you got Evans, Godwin, Gronk, you know, a running game, and Brady, good luck stopping that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't
Can't
know.
argue with that.
So I have a question for you guys. Speaking of the NFL draft and these rookies coming in, we're kind of in an unprecedented time. You know, we're in a reality that we really could see these kids come into an NFL game without a lot of preseason workouts, where we're almost going into preseason games before there's a lot of, you know, on-field training. How they're going to work that, I don't know, because that's still a safety issue. Just to run out there in, you know, mid-August, late August, and start playing games. Do you think that they're going to tend to bench some of these rookies more so than before because they're not going to have that practice time?
You might be right about that. Yeah, I could see that. I could see a lot of these rookies, you know, they're just going to have to go with the safer option because the guys aren't comfortable with the playbook. You can't put guys in uncomfortable positions when they don't know where they're supposed to be, and it's going to, you know, you're going to get penalties. You're going to, yeah, I could absolutely, yeah, I could.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think some of the high end, like if I'm Miami, I'm not rushing Tua, especially with the injury concerns. You know, I don't know how great they would have been this year, even though that division I think is wide open. If you're Cincinnati, I mean, you are a franchise, you know, in the drudge. I mean, you got to send Burrow out there. It doesn't matter how bad he plays. And you know, I came from Indianapolis where, you know, we marched Peyton out there fresh out of school and he got his butt kicked year 1, but year 2, you know, they went from 2-12 to like 12-2 the next year. So I mean, you got to take your lumps. I do think there'll be a learning curve. I think what will be interesting is the teams coming from the more traditional big conferences. So I think of the guys coming from the SEC that are used to playing a higher level of competition will probably be more ready. Some of these guys from smaller divisions, smaller schools, D2, D3, where, you know, they were the best athlete on the field by far for their team and against their opponent, stepping onto a field where everybody is the best athlete is going to be, you know, eye-opening. You know, everyone talks about the speed of the game and how much you have to take in. So there'll be learning curves, but like anything else, I think the really good players will figure it out. But it'll definitely be an interesting year if camp's reduced, which it probably will be, and if the preseason is reduced, which I have no problem with because the preseason sucks anyway. So, you know, maybe we'll get lucky and a condensed training camp will mean less people get injured in the preseason anyway. So who knows?
Well, and you know, the reason I asked that question is to go back to the Easton Stick and Justin Herbert discussion. I don't think they're going to start him. I think that they're probably going to, you know, let him sit for a bit. I mean, he's not Joe Burrow. You know, he's got a couple of mechanical issues that can be fixed, but it's going to take time. And if he doesn't have the time with the coaches and the drills, is he going to be ready in, you know, the first week of September? And I don't know. I just, not saying it won't happen sometime throughout the year, but I think they're also probably going to give these rookies a longer leash too. They're not going to be pulling these quarterbacks as fast as they would have, you know, in previous years.
No. And didn't LA kind of, is it Tyrod Taylor? Don't they have another, like a veteran player other than Easton Stick that they brought in?
Tyrod Taylor's going to start the season as a quarterback.
Taylor could start the season and get a couple games in while they groom Herbert. I mean, that's probably the right way to go anyway. I mean, you look at the Chargers and, I mean, they're not contending in that division. Not next year.
No.
So, yeah. If they do, it'll be a pleasant surprise. Yeah, so I'll when I ask the chat if anyone's got any questions, and then we'll switch off topics here. So Josh had one. He's who's the one guy that will be a star out of the draft class that nobody's talking about? I don't know.
I like. Oh, go ahead.
No, go please, Mike. You know you've been following it a lot closer than me, so I'm definitely
I like
curious.
both KJs. I like KJ Hamler and I like KJ Hill. I think KJ Hill is this year's Terry McLaurin, and I think KJ Hamler has every chance to be a Tyreek Hill and just smoke people in the AFC West. I really like both of them.
Cool. Tim, anything from you? Have you been following the draft at all?
Yeah, I've been watching. I mean, I followed more the first round than anything. But yeah, I'm not really seeing anything, and I usually don't put anything to paper until I see these kids practicing.
Yeah.
At least, they've never seen anything like what they're about to go against when it comes. They're even the kids coming from the big schools, they don't see this level of talent, and it definitely will be interesting. There's always a Cinderella story every year, it seems like. But I honestly think that there's probably a good maybe half dozen that we could see that went late second round and later.
Yeah. Cinderella stories, about to become Masters champions. Okay, so Crack It Open asking in the chat room, switching topics here, guys. We can come back to football if we need to, but he's asking about Bowman First Edition, if that will hold any long-term value. So I'm just starting into baseball. You guys can definitely, I'd be curious to hear what you have to say. I think that, like so many other new products right now, everything is going to be hot after the gate because everyone is just clamoring for new product. So you're going to see a huge spike in that product. That's why these packs, which I don't know what they cost if you got them on tops, like 10, 15 bucks each or whatever, but they're going for over double that on the secondary market. I don't think long term the first edition will have anywhere near the value of the first Bowman. I mean, Bowman's just like, that's a cornerstone set for baseball. But that being said, because it's new, because it's a special edition, and because it's a loaded class, I mean, yeah, you're going to see some value there. But I'm just not sure where it's going to be long term. But like anything else, even if it's just hot for a month, it could be something cool to grab, rip, and then either flip or have some a cool offset variation of some of your favorite prospects before they make it or break it.
Well, in my opinion, anything that comes direct from from Topps or Panini, I hope it tanks.
Oh, really?
Well, I think it should be. The distribution is set for for the brick and mortar and also the breakers, and to go direct. I'm not a huge fan, so I'm always going to say I'll just wait for the Bowman, the real thing, to come out.
I agree. I don't necessarily like direct products either. I think Panini Black was probably about the only one and it was hit or miss, really, to be honest, as far as football last year. And I would rather be able to get something out of the distribution chain. It's just a better way of doing it. I'm not a big fan. I totally agree with Timmy. I don't like the way they do that at all.
This is why I love doing this with a variety of opinions, because I am completely opposite of you guys. I don't mind that it comes direct from the manufacturer. Obviously, Topps was ill-prepared to do that, as they've had numerous crashes. Much like Panini's process when buying first off the line or direct, it's just never going to be smooth. That being said, it's a new product. It's baseball. It's, like I said, it's a great class. As a collector, I don't know if I'm chasing those cards. As a breaker, I think it's phenomenal because inexpensive packs with a product that is not going to be widespread into the market are great for mixers or small breaks. So I did buy some. I'm very excited to get them in and to add them into breaks. I think that a lot of people that break with me are going to like them. It might not be for everybody per se, but no product is. I think it's gonna give us a little something until those flagship products start to come in. So long-term value, yes, it is probably not going to have the same long-term value. That being said, if I got a really big rookie out of it, I'd still probably grade it through PSA because heck, you never know. Some people, they're looking for anything rookie year. May not have as high value as first Bowman's or Topps flagship, but there's nothing wrong with some of these offset rookies or whatever either. So, I don't know. Everyone likes things differently. So for me, from a business perspective, I think it's awesome. As a collector, yeah, I'm probably not chasing it as much as some of the other products that are out there. Our boy Renell is asking, changing it up again, guys, about our thoughts on DFS people coming into card collecting. DFS must be daily fantasy sports, if I recall. What do you guys think? What do you think about? Let me add to this question. Let's look at not just the daily fantasy people coming in. I think that also would include like people looking for investments, people looking for flip game, the Gary V type crowd. How do you guys feel about those folks in the hobby? I know I certainly have an opinion about it, but what do you got? This will be interesting because both of you are very big sellers on eBay, so I'm very curious about what you think about these people entering the hobby. And I don't say these people to mean derogatory, just like that subset.
I mean, I enjoy it. I have built up a clientele, especially over the past couple of years, that's all they're really interested in. They're sports fans, but they honestly could not care less. They couldn't care less about collecting cards, but they want they come to me and they say, hey, I have X amount of dollars to spend. What can I buy that would be a good investment for 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 10 years down the road? And I really enjoy that aspect of it. And especially with what's been going on over the past 6 months, they've been very successful with it. You're going out and telling them, hey, buy the LeBrons, buy the Kobe's, buy the Jordans. And I don't mean to be just the basketball guy, but even the Mike Trout, even when they were starting to hit $1,000 for a PSA 10 update rookie card, a lot of people are like, oh, that's plateau, that he's done. No, buy it now.
Yeah, agreed. Mike, what about you? What do you think?
Well, this is interesting for me because I'm actually one of those DFS people who came from DFS to card collecting. So
we don't want you in our hobby, Mike. Get out!
I'm one of them. Yeah, I did daily fantasy for years. I still do it actively. Not as much because I spend so much time doing cards. So I've had to kind of, you can only serve so many masters, but I really enjoy it. And I think there's a lot of shared similarities in the two mediums, the way you break down the prospects and the way you can break down the performance in the games to predict future performance. There's a lot of similarities in like the numbers. I really enjoy I've always really enjoyed the two, and I've been working with the two parallels in my own mind, trying to take from one to help me, if there's a way for it to help me in any way I can. So I think it's great to see. I think what we're referring to here is Burrow grinders getting involved with cards a little bit, and I think that's just awesome.
Yeah, my opinion's pretty straightforward. Is that there's very few things in the hobby that bother me. First off, I just don't get upset about much. But what does kind of perturb me is when anyone sets a standard of who should or shouldn't be included in anything. I don't get that, and I don't like that. So when I read on social media about people getting upset because I don't want investors in my hobby, I don't want people making money in my hobby, I only want purists and the people that PC. I'm like, you're more the problem than the investors. So my take is this: the more people in the hobby, the better. I really could give two shits if you're in it to make money, to flip, to collect. I don't care. How you do the hobby is up to you. I just want you to be kind, to have fun, to be engaging, because it's a great hobby for that. There's wonderful people in this hobby. So to anyone out there who is judging people or looking down on people because of the way that they collect or the way that they approach the hobby, maybe a little self-reflection is needed there. Take a look at what you think and what your approach is. But to me, I love it. I don't think it's anything bad. I think it's great no matter how you do the hobby, because the more people that are in the hobby, the more people that could potentially buy your cards. And ultimately, down the road, whether you have to sell cards to, purchase more things, or because you're an investor and you're trying to, make money or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. But I am for anything that brings more people to this hobby or brings people back to the hobby. That's what I think is really great is some of these folks, they were in the hobby when they were kids and now they're coming back. And whether they're coming back because they think it's cool or because their kids are getting into it or because it's like, hey, this is pretty neat. I can make some investments and potentially win. It's just like anything else. It's just like stocks or anything else. So yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. The more the merrier, if you ask me.
I think that we're coming back to a point that I've been involved with cards since 1984, and I think back to like the late 90s of going to the card shows and going to the local card shops and where you have to. I don't know if you guys were involved with it back then, but it was a very similar idea where people were going to Sam's Club and buying cases of cards for investment. They didn't care about, collecting or opening it. They were just going to buy it to put it away, and they were going to be millionaires, by the year 2000. And that's how I spend most of my days telling people that their 80s, 90s stuff is generally worthless.
Isn't that your $1 million collection right behind you, Tim? Sitting on those shelves?
Getting close. We're working on it. So. Especially over the past 6 weeks, it definitely has increased in value. That's for sure. But I think that I started doing shows on the regular in 2009, and it was pretty bleak in regards to the amount of attendance that we were seeing at shows. It was still good, but what we're seeing now is the traffic is increasing. Mikey can attest to it for our local shows in here in Grand Rapids. He traveled with us to a show down in Indiana, and it was wall-to-wall people.
It was
and they were there to spend money. They were there to talk about cards. They were there to talk about their history with whatever sport they were interested in. And that's awesome. I mean, if I have an investor come to my table and ask me, well, I'm an investor, I want to buy something. It's not just that purchase of that card. There's always a story behind it on why they're choosing this as their investment instead of going to the stock market, which these things behind me have done much better than the stock market over the past few years.
Yeah. So I want to switch gears because there's a lot of questions in the chat room, and I know this was a big topic that we wanted to get to when we started kind of marketing this event, guys. Is that both of you guys sell a ton of cards on eBay. Mike through your store, Tim personally, and through your work with a local card shop here in town, and then helping others via consignment. A lot of just general questions around your best strategy, tips and tactics on how to maximize your eBay sales. So coming from two of the best, what would you guys say is, what are some things that maybe the average Joe aren't doing in their listings and so forth to help them achieve better value, get more sales and so forth? What are some of the things that you might tell a rookie to help them become better at eBay?
Start small. Especially if you're going to just start selling on eBay, start with your stuff that's under $50. Get it figured out. Make those mistakes with that $20 card, not that $200 card. And you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. You're going to have some upset people, and sometimes you're just going to have to bite the bullet and refund money and refund, shipping costs and all that stuff. But again, just do it with that $20 card. And then from there, what I've learned a lot is just if you're going to do it, then do it the right way. Ship your stuff out quickly, well packaged, and your business will grow because you're going to always get those people that are going to contact you on the side and say, hey, I found your eBay store. I really like working with you. I'm looking for this. Do you have any, or can you procure this item for me? And that's how you really grow your eBay business.
And let me add to that before we get to Mike, because Mike, I want to hear from you too. So one of the things I would do too, guys, if you're just starting on eBay, is I have a lot of people that I buy from on eBay that literally I get the card. It's just the card. If you're not taking an extra minute to write a thank you note or to have a business card with your information, like when I sell things on eBay, I have a business card in there that talks all about my breaking business. And I've had a lot of people like, hey, I bought a card from you on eBay and I got your card and I checked out your site and now they're breaking with me. So you have an opportunity there to make a further connection, even if it's just thanks for the purchase. I hope you enjoy your new card. If you're ever looking for anything in particular, reach out to me. I'll see what I can help you with. That's a really great way to build a client base. So Mike, what about you? I know that you sell tons through eBay. What would you tell somebody?
Well, first, I just want to build on that. You're absolutely right. And one of the first things I got was business cards, and I put a little thank you sticker on the back.
I
a
love
roll of 1,000 thank you stickers off Prime is $8. There's no reason you can't put a little thank you sticker on every single one that goes out. It goes a long way. Like there's no reason you can't do that. That's a really good one. Timmy had some really good ones. Know your products, know your audience, and know the differences between the sports are like the three things you mostly got to balance, because basketball sells different than football. Football sells different than baseball. Baseball sells different than basketball. And the audience is a little bit different for all three. The flippers are a little bit different in all three. The collectors are a little bit different in all three. So just look around a little bit. Look at eBay sold prices. Learn that eBay sold advanced search is your best friend. Learn that thing, and just do some looking around. Try and see what other things are going for, and you can see some correlations between the cards. And all right, this is hot. I should get these items up now. Like right now, if you're looking at sold prices, you're seeing that all these draft pick cards are hot. So hey, if you got draft pick cards, let's get them up. Let's get them up right now,
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to be extremely flexible. I think so. Renell was asking in the chat room about people messaging him about prices being overpriced or whatever. First off, if someone messages me anything negative, typically I just ignore it. I don't have time for that. But what I do is if I'm going to put something up on eBay, I talked a little bit about this in the last hobby talk, is that I'm going to take a look at sold comps and other cards on there. And I'm gonna figure out, where do I need to price this to move this? Because my ultimate goal when I'm putting something on eBay is not to have it sit there for 3 months. I want to move it, and I want to move it quick. So I always tell people it is so much easier to dictate the market than have the market dictate you. So if you're getting your cards up there first and you're setting the tone, let's say a brand new product comes out, you're putting a big card up there, an autograph of a new rookie or something like that. There's 2 of them out there, and both of them are at $100. I might put mine up there for $89.99 OBO, and I might take the first offer over $70 on it. Now, did I lose money because others could be selling it for higher? Maybe, maybe not. But if you're the first to sell at 79, now you're setting the market. Now those guys that have their cards up there for 100 and 150 are, people are going to be like, your card's overpriced. So I'd much rather always be the one to kind of set the market, even if it meant selling a little bit lower. That also being said, sometimes I put cards on eBay, and Tim and I, we talked about this a lot on that trip to Cherville. This is what I would sell it for price. I remember someone asked Tim about a Jordan rookie at the card show, and they asked him if he would discount it. And without missing a beat, Tim goes, well, I don't usually discount Jordan rookies. And oh darn, I'm going to have to go home with it. So sometimes I have things on eBay that I do have priced high, because quite frankly, that's the price I'm willing to let it go for. But that doesn't mean that I won't entertain an offer or anything like that. But I would say that do your research, and then make sure you follow up too. If you've had a card up there for a month and your views aren't that much, if no one's watching it, you're probably priced wrong, or something's wrong with your description, or I don't know. But there's reasons why. So take a look, and don't be afraid to pull cards out that aren't doing that well and look for other ways to move them. But typically eBay can be a very, very good and effective way to sell cards if you can do it appropriately. But it'll take work. It's not just You know, I set it up there. I put my one picture up, and it's dark, and I can't really see much. And I put the minimum as far as the description, and I'm crossing my fingers. I sell it. No, you got to invest the time.
Clean your lenses. Clean your lenses on your cameras, please.
Yeah, good pictures matter. They really, really do.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And when you're selling on eBay, I'm gonna play villain here for a second, because eBay comp are 2 4-letter words for me. I can't. This is why and it's why I don't sell generally on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Everybody's eBay comp. But when I can go on eBay and I don't have to listen about eBay comps, and I sell my stuff for way more than eBay comps. I mean, enough more that it pays for the additional fees and the fact that I have a monthly subscription for my store. So, and generally, and if you go to my eBay page, which is the same as the Bone GRMI, my stuff is the stuff that I have up there is pretty rare. A lot of that stuff is the only one that's on the market right now. So I don't generally get a lot of that on eBay, but that's one thing I like about selling on eBay is I don't have to listen to people about eBay comps. And the groups in Facebook and on Twitter, you're required to use eBay comps to price your stuff. And sometimes that's just not reality, because if I have a card numbered of 10, that's a hot player, and one sold last week for X amount of dollars, but I have the only one on the market, I'm going to set my price.
Yeah, I've seen multiple Twitter threads in the last 2 weeks by very reputable people, and I'm sure they don't mean to do any harm. I think I understand why they're doing it, but they're like, we're gonna start a sales thread, post whatever you want, but be below comps. And my reaction to that is, who the F are you to tell me what to sell my card for? So I'm like, okay, well, have fun with the thread. I was like, I'm setting the price. I agree that it's cool that eBay does have comps out there, so you have some idea of how the market is. But to Tim's point, there are cards out there that are hot, that are increasing in price every single week. And I don't care if the card sold for X amount of dollars a month ago, or, it might be fishy if that one comp is super low. Maybe it was an auction that ended at 3 a.m. on a Wednesday. So, it's good information, but I also don't think it's gospel. So, I would always tell people, don't be afraid to set the market. I mean, you are the one, it's your card. You are the one dictating what you will sell the card for. Now, there might not be a buyer at your price, but that's where the negotiation and the art of it comes in, is finding the right person and agreeing on a price where both of you feel it's fair.
Yeah, you got to know when to keep your eBay comps in your pants.
Yeah.
Well, and you also have, if you're going to sell on eBay, at the end of the day, have a thick skin. The people that are going to comment are going to message you directly and have a comment on your pricing, or if you have a comment from anybody that hasn't bought anything from you yet, delete it. Don't get involved with it. It doesn't matter, because I've been doing eBay since 2002, and I've never sold a card getting involved with somebody that starts out a conversation like that. So just delete it, move on. Go hug the family, do anything else except deal with those types of people. It's
not worth getting triggered, you're right. And I'll tell you, interestingly enough, I do something a little bit different. So it happened to me this morning. I have a card up on eBay right now. I have it listed for a couple $1,000s. There's no comps. I'm sure I have it listed way high, but once again, that's my sale price on it. Somebody on I think a $2,000 card, somebody offered a $200 offer. Obviously not something I'm going to take. There are so many people that will post that and be like, block this idiot, or what a more, and I'm like, what I do is I respond to that and I say, hey, you know what? I appreciate your offer. That's a little bit lower than what I'm looking for, but thanks for checking out my stuff. You know what? That takes the same amount of time as writing a pissy note back, and guess what? You don't make an enemy. So you never know when, oh, you know what? Actually, I meant to offer $2,000 on your $2,300 card. I forgot a zero. Who knows? So don't shoot yourself in the foot and lose a potential sale. That's an old sales trick. I used to be in the car business. We would never shoot ourselves in the foot, because you never know what'll happen. So don't make it harder than it has to be. and like Tim said, if you don't have a thick skin, first off, it's hard to be in the card business in general.
Yeah.
If you don't have a thick skin, eBay is going to eat you alive because you have to put up with a lot of crap. But how you deal with that crap is that's how you are.
Yep. Just and at the end of the day, when even when you're dealing with people face to face, whether you're working at a shop or you're at a card show, sometimes when you just smile, that is. It's way more. It just twists that knife a little bit more than getting mad at them. So just smile and walk away.
That's what we can do.
Yeah. Just try to make the most of it. Josh wrote in the comments: people who message you asking for your best price deserve to be in a special circle of hell. I laugh at that because I do that all the time. I do that. I do that with people that don't have OBO. And you'd be surprised. I'll use just $100 card as an example. There's someone with a $100 card, and I'll just try to be like, I'm just curious, what's the lowest price that you'll accept? And then 64. Okay, great, I'll take it. Or some people might be, oh, my lowest I can accept on a $100 card is 95. Okay, well, I was willing to pay 80. So if you have a little bit of room there, maybe we can work something out. But I mean, if someone asked me that as a seller, I would always say, well, I think I priced it pretty fair to the market, but I'm willing to entertain an offer if you'd like to make one. Like, I would never negotiate with myself. But when I'm on the other side of it, hell yeah, I ask it all the time. Probably on almost every deal I do. So there you go, Josh. I'll see you in hell.
If Josh ever gets out of his house, you're going to be in some trouble, Mikey.
I'm sure I'm going to be in trouble for more than that. So, I should still be high on Josh's like list because we pulled monsters for him in definitive for the Red Sox. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that only takes me down a little.
Well.
Hopefully, it only took me down a little, and I'm still held in high regard with him. But we'll see. Maybe not.
Are the people who ask for the best price also have the children who accidentally buy cards?
Yeah, that's my favorite. I'm sorry, my kid got a hold of my phone and bid up this card twice. Yeah, like I said, if you're going to be on eBay, you're going to deal with stuff. So if you're going to get mad when someone retracts a bid, if you're going to get mad if someone cancels it, I was just telling you, then don't do it. Don't do it. There's no sense in bringing yourself pain and agony. If you're not going to be able to handle it, there's other ways to sell cards. But you know what? If you just try to find the fun in it and just try not to take it so serious, eBay can be a great way to sell stuff. So lots of questions in the chat, guys. We'll get to a couple of them. I know you guys have been asking a lot of things. We do want to talk about SGC and grading in general. We'll get to that in a little bit, Joe. Dallas is asking, because multiple people have asked, Ryan and Josh and others, about card shows. Card shows when everything returns back to whatever normal will be going forward. Hopefully card shows continue to come back and come back strong. Recommendations for big shows across the country was Dallas's question. I already put in the chat the National as the number one because nothing competes with the National. But Tim, you do a ton of shows. I know probably mostly around the Midwest, but any other big shows that you can think of off the top of your head that are really strong that, if things return to normal in a month or two, might still happen throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, I'll answer that question pre-corona. Especially here in the Midwest, we have the Chicago Spectacular, which happens twice a year, in the spring and the fall. That's a pretty big show. It's at the same venue on a different level that they do the National when the National is in Chicago. That's always a good one. I think that's like 300 to 400 tables. It's a good show. You could spend a couple of days there milling around and especially for the one in the fall, you can get some pretty decent deals. And then there's a card show down in Schererville. A guy named Mitch runs that show, and it is I think one of the best run shows in the area. And he's got 125 tables in there, either 125 or 150 tables, and that place gets mobbed. As a dealer, it's a great show, and even if I were to just go there as a spectator and as a buyer, that would be can't miss kind of show. They do a really great job down there. We have great monthly shows here in Grand Rapids that just, it just every month it just grows and grows and grows, and it's just, that's been going on for a couple of decades now, and it's amazing.
I think a lot of the bigger cities, have shows already. Indianapolis has a big show. I know we're kind of sticking Midwest because that's kind of where Tim and I are. I know that there's a very big show that happens in Pittsburgh. That was earlier in the year. It's canceled. I know Steel City's attached to that show. They bring in like hundreds of people for autographs. Our friend Gary B was excited to go to that, but that show is canceled because I think it is in March. But I would ask around the local area, ask your local card shop if you have them, like where good shows are. If you're looking for something, throughout the entire country for big shows, in my opinion, I think Tim hit on the two biggest. I think the Chicago Sports Spectacular draws a lot of people, and it's twice a year. And then obviously the National, which is a must-attend event, in my opinion, for the hobby. It changes cities each year. This year it's supposed to be in Atlantic City. If it does go through, it'll be at the end of July. Next year, I believe it's back in Chicago. The year after that, I think Cleveland. So it does rotate between the three cities. Nothing can prepare you or is like the National. It is unbelievable. I mean, hundreds of we're talking 500-600 dealers, hundreds of autographs, a Breakers Pavilion. It's a week-long show. It is. There's a common saying that if it exists in the hobby, it'll be at the National, and I think that's really true. So, yeah. Mike, anything we missed? I know you're kind of you're on the other part of the country here. So, anything on your neck of the woods that is big?
No, not really. We actually, during the downtime of the hobby, in the early 2010s, our card shows sort of took a hit, and they really haven't recovered yet, to be honest. Here in Harrisburg, we don't. There's not much to speak of. I think we might have had one show last year, and I think there was 4 or 5 dealers there. It just hasn't recovered just yet. Hopefully, after all this blows over, maybe we start getting a little bit of maybe some more popularity to it in the Harrisburg area. But I would have to travel to Philly or Pittsburgh. I was really excited about Atlantic City. That's about an hour 45, 2 hours depending on traffic for me. I was definitely going to make the drive, and I don't know with everything this year. I just don't know if it's going to happen.
I thought I heard so a good friend of us, Brody the Kid, has got one of the gentlemen that runs the National on his next episode. So a little plug to Brody's show. If you guys aren't watching Brody's show, he's got the guy from National coming on. As of right now, I think they're going to make a decision at the end of May whether or not to have the show. Right now, the place used to have the show is being used as a non-COVID hospital. So I'm not sure where those people would go. So my gut tells me I wouldn't be surprised either way. My gut tells me it's going to get canceled, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many
wouldn't go
things.
buying plane tickets right now.
No, I would not. Maybe a hotel reservation, but I mean, I am not.
Yeah,
I am not supremely confident that it's going to happen. And I'll be honest with you guys. As much as I love the show, even if it does happen, I think I'd have to be really tentative about my plans, because if things are still anywhere close to what they are now with COVID, I mean, that would just be irresponsible to be in an area with that many people. I mean, there's no way in hell you can social distance at the National. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people. So I don't know. It's in jeopardy. I know this much, though, is that next year, hopefully everything is normal by then. Next year in Chicago will be crazy. It'll be crazy big. So yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, hopefully at the end of May we'll know one way or the other. But I'll keep my fingers crossed. I hope things get better, and I hope it does go forward, because I'd love to go. It's one of the things I look forward to. Probably the thing I look forward to every year in the hobby.
Yeah, it's that's the thing is that I mean, the National is just it's insane. If you've never been, you have to do it. But with that said, the National never officially releases the number of participants or tickets sold or people coming through. What word am I looking for?
Box, their
So,
box, yeah.
but I mean, Mike, you were in Chicago last year. I mean, I think that you can honestly say that between the staff and the dealers and the attendees, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
There's probably 50 to 60,000 people in that place at one time.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're going to see that level of people allowed in one building this year. I can't see it. And and if they do allow it in New Jersey, I don't know if I'm going to go.
It's hard to get to, not exactly, there's no easy flights. I mean, it's a long drive for most people, except those that are on the, East Coast. So for like Mike or whatever, but I agree. I don't know if you're going to see venues with 50,000 people in it, anytime soon, let alone in a couple of months. So, we'll cross that bridge when they come to it. If they decide not to do it, Nick was saying in the comments that maybe there's a way to do it virtually. It's hard. I think part of the cool part of the Nationals, the camaraderie of meeting everybody and hanging out and just being around people in the hobby. You'll miss that virtually, but from a buying selling perspective, maybe there's still ways to do that there. But I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. Hopefully in a month, we're having another hobby talk where we're talking about how to prepare for the Nationals. So we'll cross our fingers.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, did you guys know that it's scientifically proven that beer tastes better if you're sitting around talking about cards?
I've heard that.
I have heard that as well.
I think we better test that theory soon.
Yeah, no, Dr. Bone has taken care of it. I've studied it for years.
Yeah. All right, so I want to move into grading. Nick had a couple of questions, and some others have earlier too around grading. Now, we kind of went into it extensively in Hobby Talk episode 1. So if anyone's interested around like preparation of stuff and like what to grade, Sean and I with Josh and Brad kind of talked a little bit about that. One thing we didn't talk a lot about though was the third big grading company, SGC, just because none of us had experience with that. Tim has a ton of experience with SGC as far as their process and how it goes, and it's still kind of a mystery to me. So, Tim, give us the 30-second synopsis of SGC, why people are choosing it, what you see as a big advantage, and so forth. I'm curious to hear from an expert.
Well, I started using SGC quite a bit, starting in December. I started using them. Again, the gentleman that runs the show down in Schererville, Indiana, Mitch, he got me started on them. SGC, a lot of people are familiar with them. They're their claim to fame has always been that they are big vintage graders. Yeah. And they've really been trying to push into the modern graded cards. And so I just had enough of dealing with PSA and dealing with DGS. It is a necessary evil in this business that the big cards need to be graded, but the increase in prices, the increase in waiting time, the non-existent customer service is just like, there has got to be a better option here. So I started dealing with SGC. I've done about half a dozen subs with them. Really anything from the $50 card to several $1,000 cards, and it has been nothing but a really good experience. The turnaround times prior to the whole Corona thing, we were sending cards out for a 20-day service, sending them out and having it back in our mailbox within 6 weeks, which is in the grading world is just kind of unheard of nowadays. And throughout the coronavirus, they're the only ones that have remained open. They have not closed at all. PSA and BGS closed for a short period. I think they're back to a skeleton crew, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, it's a great card. I mean, and the other side of it too is that we're seeing the values for the SGC really pop when we're comparing. They've surpassed BGS in regards to value, and they're right there with PSA right now. So, I think that PSA and BGS proved to us over the past 5 years that they can't keep up with the demand, and they're not willing to do a whole lot in regards to expand the grading. I'm sure that there's a lot more involved with that. So we have to have another option, and SGC really picked up the ball.
Yeah.
I like working with them. I had one issue with them, and it was resolved within 5 hours.
Wow.
After an email and a phone call, and it was, I thought it was a lost cause just dealing with the other graders for such a period of time, and but it, they fixed it, and I actually got to talk to a human being, which is, sometimes it's all I ask for. Tell me to take a hike, just answer the phone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Mike, what about you? I mean, you buy and sell a lot of cards. Are you doing anything with SGC or thought about doing anything with SGC?
I'm not too familiar with SGC. I was really interested to hear Tinny's thoughts and opinions on it. It might be something I need to look into more here and give some more thought to. I did the BGS sub with you.
Yep.
I currently have a PSA sub in right now.
Successfully, by the way.
With them. Very successful BGS sub. Very successful. Mikey does a great job. Him and Sean. If you guys are looking to get into a sub, I think you got one going right now, don't you?
Yeah, PSA one ready to go out, and probably do another BGS once the COVID settles down and Sean's able to get back over here and help me with that. I definitely need a second person. It's a ton of work.
Yeah, so. You guys do a great job, and I appreciated all the help. And it was my first experience doing the grading, and everything went great. And I'm doing a PSA one on my own now, trying to learn the ropes a little bit myself, just to kind of figure it out. And who knows, and I'll get that back somewhere around 2022 probably.
Yeah, Christmas, Christmas of next year. Yeah, and then so Jacob asked about what company to use, and my answer to this the last time, and probably this one as well, is that it's just all personal, your own personal preference. I think each company has pros and cons, and I will say this in the most generic sense possible. I think there are certain cards that I would only grade with BGS. I think there's certain cards I'd only grade with PSA. I have not yet used SGC. I'm actually thinking about putting my first SGC grading order in to give them a shot. I'd love to see how their values hold because I'm not as familiar with them. I do like the fact that they're inexpensive, that they're working fully right now, and their turnaround times are strong, which is two things that the other two companies are lacking. Yeah, I mean, because the prices are different, the turnaround times are different, so there's a lot of things in there. I mean, in general, one of the earlier questions was, is a graded card going to have more value than a raw card? Yes, with the exception being that depending on what that grade is. Now, there's so many variables there, but I think in general, a well-graded card, I'm talking PSA 910, BGS 9 or above. Tim, what would be the equivalent for SGC, like a 9 or above for them? I know that they use a 0.5 scale.
Yeah, they use the 0.5 scale as well, and yeah.
So those are all going to be enhancements. Now, if the card's vintage, it doesn't matter so much if it's a 4 versus an 8. But a modern card, something within the last couple of years, you're only really going to get hurt if it's like an 8.5, in BGS or lower. If it's an 8 through PSA, so. Grading can definitely enhance the value of the card. There are some people that, like, I'll tell you right now, my personal collection has shifted. I went from getting, cards that I really, really wanted to, everything that I buy now is graded. When it comes to my PC, it's graded. Most of them are PSA 10s. So I'm not afraid to grab 9.5 BGSs. In fact, I like those. But even now, I'm even more picky. If I buy a 9.5 BGS, all the subgrades have to be 9.5 or better. So it's a true gem mint. So there's different levels of collectors and what they look for. But, in general, if you are looking to enhance value for a card, or like me, some people just really like the look of the slab. I love a card that's slabbed. I think it looks really cool. So, it's just to each their own, however you like to collect. So Nick's asking in the chat specifically around like how much more value. There's no formula, Nick. It
depends.
Yeah,
that's the answer.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, exactly right. There's so many variables because it's what's the grade, it's how popular is that player and card, it's what's the pop report. There's so many different things that factor into that you know, and there are probably some cards out there that graded cards aren't that much different than the raw. Not many, but for any of the cards that are hot on the marketplace right now, graded cards are always going to command value because there are always going to be people, you know, whatever for whatever reason that they only want to buy a graded version of that card. Like when I got my Zions for Prism, and I got a bunch, I knew that, all right, anything that doesn't grade high, I'm going to sell and get rid of. I'm only going to keep my high graded ones because that's all I wanted to keep. So, and there are other people that are like, I just want to get a Zion rookie. So, you know, who knows? Who knows? So, yeah. Oh, sorry, I got to answer something in the chat. Apparently, my boy Nate Stanley got drafted by the Vikings. So, I don't know. He might replace Cousins. He's got a shot to start there.
Boy, that's a big push.
Yeah, and so Comic Book Meta, he's a big comic guy, and he doesn't like graded stuff. Like I said, there's other people that just don't like grading. I mean, a year ago, I didn't like grading because it made cards too expensive. I didn't like the look of it. I thought it was expensive. I thought it was like, you know, I was just like, yeah, this is just not for me. And, you know, I kind of turned a corner a little bit after I started grading. But there's different levels. There's people that only buy retail. There's people that only buy hobby. There's people that only buy cards. There's people that only buy graded cards. I mean, everybody's different. So, yeah, I mean, there's good reasons to grade. And there's, you know, you can get burned too. But it certainly is a different, a different art to the hobby. You know, it's not so it's not an easy thing to do.
Well, and especially buying so much online now, that's the nice thing about the grading is that you know, a lot of the opinion has been removed, especially for modern cards. You know, where you know you buy a raw card, oh, this thing's gem mint, and you know, I send a lot out for grading, and I've never bought a raw card off eBay that I considered a gem mint or that I would send in and you know, expect to get a dime out of it.
So Josh and I laugh about this all the time. When speaking of eBay sales, when people in their eBay titles put invest or PSA 10 on a raw card, it's like, bro, you don't know what that's going to grade at. Most of the time when you buy those cards, they end up being like not cards that would grade well. So, oh yeah, Josh just put look. Like, look, invest. Yeah, those are. First, by the way, guys, don't ever put that. It's bad enough if you put eBay 1 of 1 in your title, but definitely don't put any of those. That's like a big no-no.
No, I stopped putting eBay 1 of 1 in my titles. Now I just put in 1 day 1.
1 day 1. Great. So it's dumb and it's racist. Nice. So, but yeah, yeah. I don't even know where we're going with this.
The worst part of those, sorry, you just made me.
I know. We just went way down a rabbit hole.
No, the worst part of those PSA 10 question marks is when you're actually looking for a PSA 10. They clog up all the search results.
Yeah, you got to like take that out. So I what I like about buying PSA cards, PSA 10 or BGS cards for that matter, is to Tim's point. I know the condition of the card because it's graded. Yep. If I'm buying a big raw card, like if I'm buying a LeBron rookie, a Trout Update rookie, or something like that, you know, a card that I'm going to spend 4 figures on, it's hard for me to buy one that's raw because I don't know the condition. And for so many cards, I don't know if it's authentic. So, you know, like there's just some cards that there's no way, like I would never buy an 86, 87 Fleer Jordan if it wasn't graded authentic. No way.
No. That's why the, you know, that's why it's so important to keep, you know, the brick and mortar shops, the card shows. That's why they're so important because there are raw cards that are PSA 10s out there, but, you know, having the opportunity to walk up to a dealer and look at that card and inspect it for yourself, that's where a lot of that opportunity is.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you an interesting thing that Tim taught me for card shows when I'm trying to negotiate with people is that, you know, because mostly if I'm buying cards, I probably will grade them. Maybe not all, but I'm looking at that. When I'm at a card show, I'll look at a card. I'll look at a card really close, and they're like, "All right, it's $100," and I'll be like, "Well, it's got a soft corner. the edges are a little raw. It's got a surface scratch. We used to do this in the car business, right? Is you talk down the trade value. Well, it needs new tires. It's got a scratch. The radio doesn't work, or anything. And then then I feel better when I justify my offer of, $60 on $100 card or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the other times when I'm the seller and people do that to me, I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna gem. That's why it's not graded, and that's why I have it priced the way I have it priced. So I used a great example of, you were there, Tim, at the Cherville show, when I sold that Lucas Silver. I had a Lucas Silver that was never gonna grade higher than an 8. I mean, it had a surface scratch, it had corner issues. From the naked eye, it looked okay, but under a scope, it would not grade well. I went to that show. I priced it several $100s below what other Lucas Silvers were going to, and Tim told me, and I'll never forget this. He said, "Mikey, you're going to sell that card before anything else, before the show even opens." And I'll be damned, the first guy that came to my table bought that card at full list right away. And that was an hour before the show opened. So take these guys' advice, guys. They know what the heck they're talking about. Yeah. So, no, Evan, Tim does not own a shop. He does a lot of consignment and works very closely with one of the shops here in town. But no, none of us own well, I don't think you own a brick and mortar, right, Mike? It's just we're all, Breaker and 2 virtual shops via eBay and other things for Mike and for Timmy. So, yeah. Tim should own a shop. That's what Josh is saying. I know. That's what I keep telling him.
You couldn't pay me enough to open a brick and mortar. I can't. The only, the best part about having a brick and mortar shop is the buying opportunity. That people just literally walk through your door.
Here, buy my stuff for nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So. I mean, that would be about it. But I really, because of my regular job, I really like the freedom of being able to do, it has to stay fun. As soon as this is not fun anymore, I'm not going to do it. Yeah. So, and that would be not fun for me if I had to pay rent and pay, insurance and employees and all that. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me.
I think it would be fun if you had the right people there with you.
Yeah, but even that, it can be short-lived. So people they move on and they get bored with it, or it becomes not fun for them, and that's and that's the thing too, is it's such a great hobby, and hanging out at the shops and stuff like that. West Michigan is a little bit weird. I mean, you honestly, especially if this Corona thing wasn't going on, you could go to you could have a show every weekend. You could be going to shows and you could be setting up at shows every weekend here in West Michigan.
Yep.
Because it is a collector population. People here collect stuff. Yeah. That's why our antique stores are jam packed every Saturday and Sunday, and the shows are packed every Saturday. It's awesome. We're very spoiled here in West Michigan.
I agree with you 100% there, and we do have a very strong.
I'm like jealous.
Yeah, hey, Mike, if you ever thinking about leaving Pennsylvania, come on over, dude. We'll house you.
Yeah, I know where to come. Yeah, I really enjoy the online sales too, because you got to close the shop at some point when you have brick and mortar. I was asleep last night and I sold like $150 worth of Prism draft picks, like while sleeping. Yeah. I was making sales on Easter Sunday when I was having me and Mom just had dinner together because of everything, and I'm making sales at the dinner table on Easter.
Yeah.
You can't do that with a brick and mortar.
Yeah, brick and mortar is really, it's a very challenging business. It is very tough. There are some pros, but I think there's only so many shops that actually do it extremely well and are highly adaptable. Yeah. So, that's why I would tell you as a collector, if you have a great hobby shop around you, support them.
Support them.
Yeah, maybe you pay a couple bucks more for those packs or supplies or whatever, but I'm telling you, there could be times in the future where brick and mortar don't exist. And to Tim's point, I think a lot of the fun of a card shop is just going there and hanging out and seeing the regulars, ripping packs with your buddies. We could do that right here virtually, and it's fun, and we do it for break nights, but it's nothing's the same as being there present, with your buddies, high five. That's one of the biggest things I miss about not having anyone here in the break room with me. We hit these monster cards, and I'm air fiving myself. So yeah, I think it's extremely hard, but yeah, if you got a good shop, take care of them. Go out there and support them as best you can. And if your shop's not that great, or if they're rude or jerks, then who knows? Maybe things will change or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you, Tim. I've thought about the hobby shop route as well, and all I can think about is how the expense part of the ledger would go up so high, and would that take away too much of the fun aspect? So
Right.
I don't know.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, my dream job would be to be a breaker, Mikey.
You wouldn't want it, Tim. You thought you might have to work hard owning a card shop. Let me tell you.
Yeah. No, we've had that discussion. But that's the thing is that, especially during a time like this when we're looking at the breaker community, I mean, it's just something for. I remember probably the second week after we were in quarantine, you got on and you were doing a break, and you're like, "Hey guys, you know what? We're just gonna hang. We're not gonna talk about what's going on, in this crazy world. We're just gonna sit here and talk sport, talk cards, and break some awesome stuff." And that was, and that's what a lot of people need right now. And I think that's why, you look at your breaks, you're selling out, zero issue. Because people are there, they just want that escape. They don't want to watch the news anymore. It's just 4 or 5 hours of just hanging out, chit-chatting online, and that's what people need. So
we built a really good community. Yeah, there's a lot, whether it's a card shop or other breakers or eBay stores. I mean, there's great card communities. That I think is one of the most positive things about the hobby is that the communities are really strong. And so getting to hang out with like you and Mike virtually and all the other guys that I've gotten to know that I never would have gotten to know otherwise have been what's really cool about the hobby and what makes it really fun. So if you have that strong community, I suggest you support it as best you can. But you're right, from a business perspective, it's a blessing that business has really exploded. So I'm I'm glad to be able to do what I do, and I just try to make it fun, right? That's what it should be all about. We try to have a lot of fun, and that's not going to stop, because to your point, Tim, the moment it's not fun and it becomes too much of a job, then the margins aren't good enough to justify not having fun. I guess I'd rather go back to the corporate world and report to an asshole again.
Call me before you do that.
Yeah. I'll come work for you, Tim. At least I'd have fun there.
We get nothing done.
Yeah. What's up, Gary? Gary's in the chat. Gary, what's the name of that card show that got canceled that you were going to go to that was really big over in your neck of the woods? We were talking about card shows earlier, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember that. Tomorrow. The CSA shows.
Oh,
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so Collectors Showcase of America. Yeah, that's another one, Dallas. If you're still on, that's a big show. Gary showed me like the lineup for that, and I know it got canceled, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not that bad to get over that into that neck of the woods. That might be a show I have to check out next year. I mean, that looked like a really good show.
I'm in.
All right, Timmy, we're there. Should we get a table or do we roam?
You know what? I'll look at it either way. I mean, there's opportunity on either side of the table. That's for sure.
Gary said their next show is July, but yeah, I don't know, Gary. Much like the National, I'd have to judgment call that. If they do another one later in the year, maybe, but next year for sure. I would love to travel around. That's one of the nice things about having flexibility with this job is grabbing a couple of your buddies and going down and either going to a show or working a show. I got to tell you, some of the best times that I have outside of breaking is when I was working there with Tim at either the National or at the Cherville show, just having a blast, man.
Yep. Keep it fun. Keep it light.
Gary says they do 3 years, so the next one in Chantilly is in October. Now that's realistic. That's not bad. And Gary, if we can tie maybe coming over to your neck of the woods if football's going on, it's not a bad idea. Gary, would you host us over there? If we come, I don't know how far Chantilly is from your place, but if it's not far, I'm making the drive. Going hanging out in the Gary B neighborhood. He said, no doubt. All right, there, Tim. We got a place to stay. We know a good show. It's in October. I'm liking the opportunity there.
All right, I like it. I'll bring the beer. Mike, can you bring a toothbrush for us to share?
Yeah. Oh, thanks, bud. Just. All right, guys. Chat room. What else would you guys like to know about? What questions do you guys have? Just asking them up a little bit. We've covered a couple of topics already, so if you missed them, you can always rewind, or the video will get posted to the YouTube page roughly an hour or two after we close up shop. We'll probably go. I know Timmy said he couldn't go too long tonight. His bedtime's pretty soon. So, but yeah. Oh, Carson wants to know. This is a good question. What are some of your biggest polls? So I had a really big one last night, but before I go, what about you, Tim and Mike? Tim, let's start with you. What would have been one of your biggest polls ever?Maybe biggest purchase ever for you? I don't know how much wax.
Yeah, I'm not a huge breaker, so I don't. I'm trying to. You know what? I'm gonna have to think. Because I have big pulls from generations. So there, that's a tough. Are we talking about the most valuable card I've ever pulled, or are we talking about, something I pulled in 1987 that was a holy grail, a top Jose Canseco.
The question is in the eye of the beholder. What would you classify as one? What was one of the things that you pulled that maybe got you the most excited? How about that?
Yeah, probably the biggest excitement was back in 2008. I pulled a Derek Jeter 1/1 out of triple threat.
Wow.
That was probably the biggest card the most exciting card, I guess, is the best way to put it. So yeah, that's probably about it.
Mike, what about you?
The biggest card for me, I hit the Octo booklet from Opulence last year with Luca, Trey, and all those guys. Whoo!
Was that an auto or relic?
It went for a lot on eBay.
Yeah. You don't still own it?
I do not still own it. It was actually a redemption, so I you never know if it's ever going to get filled, so I put it up right away.
What now, Mike? Is that an autograph or what was it?
It was an Octo auto. Yeah, it was all 8 of them.
Gosh.
It's the thing from the sell sheet at the top of the sell sheet.
Oh,
from Opulence last year. It was. Unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I was
what
so
a pull.
thankful. Coolest card I ever pulled. I got treasure chests from National Treasures last year with a whole bunch of different retired baseball players.
Oh, cool.
Like Frank Thomas. It's got 16 of them on there, and that's just a cool thing. I thought that was just the coolest thing, just to have with all 16 Hall of Famers on there. I just thought that was just personally really cool. It wasn't the most valuable, but it was just really cool.
So I'm blessed and I'm cursed in that I've pulled a lot of great cards, just none of them for me. But I get to experience it with somebody, and those memories is what makes it so much fun. So for those of you that weren't in the chat last night, and Jason's in the chat room right now, we pulled a really nice Inscription Tom Brady auto from Spectre out of 4 on card, probably the nicest one I've ever seen. It looked nicer than a lot of 1/1 autos of his, and it was on card with an inscription. I mean, that's probably a top 5 pull. Now, once again, it's not my personal card, but Jason just wrote in the chat that he's gone back and watched the video 20 times today, and I'm like, so have I. I mean, it's just we've hit some great cards, whether it's 1/1s, but I think that not just getting those unique cards. To me, I get just as exciting hitting a card for someone that I know is going to be in their PC. So Gary's in the chat, right? So anytime I hit Gary a 1/1 for the Steelers, which has happened multiple times, I get super excited when I pull Mike right here on my right, maybe your guys' left, depending on how you're looking at the video. I pulled Mike some really big cards that I know that are going into his PC or whatever. A big card he pulled is now sitting in my PC. So it's just I love hitting cards that even if they're not big cards, I know are going to people that we have a great story. We got to share that moment together. That is like the ultimate to me. So that's what's been really fun about this job is that getting to know everybody, getting to know who their PC players and teams are, and then when we hit those, being able to celebrate with them. So Andrew wants to know where his 1-of-1 Eagles cards are. Andrew, you got to keep plugging away, man. We'll get them. We'll get them soon enough, right? So yeah, I mean, Brad put in the comments hitting that 1-of-1 Barry Sanders shield. I mean, I had to call him up before I showed him the card because I wanted his reaction real time. So, I mean, that is so great. Personally, man, I don't know. I've had a lot of really cool cards. Maybe not value-wise. I think one of the ones I got most excited for was in 2017, while ripping it live in a chat, in a Hangout chat, I pulled Sam Darnold's 1-of-1 card out of Contenders. And Mitchell was here sitting with me, my nephew, and I remember going berserk because at the time it was such a huge card, and it still is a decent card now. But we've hit all sorts of things like that. I remember at the National last year, sitting around a kitchen room table in the middle of the night with Brian Packer Cards 87 and his brother Cheddar Bobby hitting a Baker Contenders auto, which was like the biggest card then. So I mean, like. I always like the story, so it doesn't matter if it's the most valuable card, if it's got a great story, if it hits somebody's PC, whether it's for me or somebody else. Those are the things that really, really matter to me. So, yeah. Oh, Josh put the story up. Tim, you remember about the Blue Zion. Now, Tim, you weren't there, but I'm sure you've heard that story about how we badgered him to buy the last box, and then midway through his prison box, he pulls a Blue Zion, and then he grades it, and it comes back a pristine 10.
Yeah. Was that the first off the line one? Was that?
No, that's not even that one. It's a different one.
Oh, okay.
I badgered.
Yeah, because the first off the line, didn't you hit a smoker on there too?
Yeah, a Zion first off the line auto. I begged him to come to the house and rip it on camera so I could do a review video because I didn't get any. And he said, sure. And then he hits a monster. I mean, I flew back so hard, I knocked the chair over. The dog's barking, and we're both like just going nuts. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's those moments. And I think, and Joe's kind of touched on in the chat, I think that's what's really fun. And I don't mean to pick on anybody else. Please don't take it this way. But that enthusiasm that I have when I'm breaking, that's not fake, guys. I mean, that is me. I very much get genuinely excited. And it's so hard for me to watch other people who don't show that emotion, that pull big cards and like, oh, we got a Brady autograph out of 4. That's pretty cool. I'm like, oh my God, how are you not like jumping off the wall? So that's me. I don't apologize for it. Anyone that doesn't like it probably won't like the channel, but I'm always gonna get excited, man. That's the best part of the job. So
yeah.
I think that Daniel Jones RPA is a cool story too, to like hit a card like that and then have everybody just stop in the chat and agree to like sell it the way we did. I mean, that's a really unique experience.
Yeah, that was awesome. So for those of you in the chat who don't know that whole story, we did a filler for the Giants in a National Treasures case. So 10 people were in this filler, and we hit a redemption. And instead of randoming it to one person, everyone decided to join in together, sell the card, and then split the proceeds. So everyone more than tripled their money. And Mike was generous enough to sell that card on eBay and did a great job. But yeah, we did very, very well on that. But what a cool thing to be a part of. And I know that when we pulled the card, I was so excited. The only thing I dreaded after I pulled that is like, how am I going to random this to somebody? Because 1 out of 10 people is going to be extremely happy and 9 out of 10 are going to be extremely bummed. So I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah.
All right, Nick has asked a couple times about Bagley and De'Aaron Fox worth investing in, and I don't know if I'm qualified enough to answer that one, Nick. So I'm gonna use the restroom real quick, but maybe Mike, what about basketball? Who do you see as good basketball investments?
Both of those guys are on the buy list right now. I wouldn't buy them at high prices, but if you can get them at an auction a couple bucks under what the last few sold at, yeah, I think that's a good deal on those guys right now. They got a lot of upside, especially Bagley. You can get him pretty cheap right now. Fox, you're still going to pay a little bit of a premium on, but I think both guys got a lot of upside in the next couple of years once things get back in play here.
Yeah, no, Bagley's on my buy list as well. You stick to the flagship products with the Prism, Spectra, any of the first off the line products. I think that's a great buy. I think there's a lot of room there for it, and get him through next year, or get to next year, and he'll definitely increase in price. That's for sure. So is this the point where we talk shit about Mike? Or
yeah. I almost forgot for a second because I can't see him. I think who else do you like in basketball right now? Any other guys you're looking at? You're jumping on?
No, not. Here's my thing is I'm a 80s 90s junk guy. So
okay, I got you.
Most of my collection is 90s. A large portion of my personal collection is 90s basketball. As you can see behind me here, that's primarily 1980 to 2000 wax boxes separated from your football, basketball.
Yeah, that's a really impressive collection behind you, man. I got to give you mad props and respect, man. That's I'm pretty jealous right now.
Tim, are you seeing a resurgence in that? Because I know there's a ton of people, because Jordan inserts are going through the roof right now, like especially graded. Like, I know that you only move so much of your wax just in general, but I mean, the demand for people looking to get older Jordans, knowing that this documentary has made the market go nuts. What are you seeing right now for like this older wax?
Well, so I have basically with my personal collection, I have a sell price. So I always say, okay, I'm gonna buy this box of 1989 90 Fleer basketball, which 3 years ago I was paying $30 to $40 a box for. And I'm pretty weird about that kind of stuff. So I say, hey, if it ever gets to this price, I'm gonna sell it. If I can, 5x, 10x my money, then I'm gonna sell it. And so, needless to say, over the past couple of weeks, I have been selling a lot of my basketball and even baseball, because those prices have hit that threshold and actually just blown right by it. Mm-hmm. The 89-90 Fleer, there's nothing in there. I mean, outside of the Jordan cards, and they're, the last one I sold for $420 on eBay. That I think I had more money into having Baseball Card Exchange wrap it than I did into the actual box. So my basketball is a little bit depleted, but I think that market is also gonna it's at a peak right now. I think we're in the middle of where we were in January and February when Kobe passed away. That you saw those prices go nuts. I mean, we were selling base top Kobe Bryant for $120, $150 a pop, and now it settled back down. And I think that'll happen again with the wax. But when you're looking at prices like that, I have to move.
Yeah.
Those type of things, and even the 89 upper deck boxes, I have a couple of cases of it, and it's getting to that point, and it's like, man, it's so far beyond my sell point that I can't let it go. I'm an 80s
like your
kid.
kids,
That's what I grew up with, son.
Well, I mean, how long did we talk about it at that show, Tim, about me wanting that Topps Finest Jordan? Like, that was always like, as a kid, that was like a penultimate card that I wanted. And as soon as we got back from the show, I bought one from eBay, and I was so pumped to have it. And I bought that card for $45, and I started seeing what prices were going for. Mine was a PSA 9 with a bad scratched case, and I sold that thing for like $265. And and I'm like, I love this card. I'd like to own this card, but that is a stupid price. I've got to sell this. And I did. And I don't, I'd love to get one down the road. I'd probably do a PSA 10 now, but I can't buy it now. It's way too much. But it's just so crazy what some of these cards that, when we were kids were like, these were the best because it was Jordan. And then we went through that junk wax is terrible. These aren't worth squat. All of a sudden now it's like this Jordan documentary has come out and everything Jordan has gone nuts. And, you know, for anyone that was smart enough to grade these $1 to $5 cards a while ago, now all of a sudden, you know, you take an 89 hoops or whatever that, you know, it's a $4 card normally, but if it's a PSA 10, now all of a sudden it's $3.50. It's crazy. It's crazy. The market's nuts. So, yeah, you just never know. I mean, you know, that's some of the things that you have to capitalize on if you are trying to, you know, maximize your investments or to maximize your selling potential. Is you got to strike while the iron is hot for some of these things. So
it's hard to let that stuff go, though. I mean, that is not
totally.
my, you know, that's my personal collection. But you know, I also think that it'll settle back down. So I'm okay with letting it go now, knowing in the future that I'll probably be able to get it back.
Yeah. Yeah, somewhere down the road after everything settles, so maybe at the tail end of next year or something, I'll pick up another one of those finest cards and add it to the PC. But, you know, for now, I flipped it. And you know what? I don't feel bad about it because I was able to take that money and buy some baseball prospect rookies that have big potential that I wanted to, you know, have in the first place too. So, you know, now I have a story, you know, so, you know, who knows?
Yep.
So, before, yeah, anything else, Tim, that you want to add? Gary's got another question before it's a complete different topic, but
no, I'm good.
All right, so Gary was asking about how hard it is to make the leap from collector to business, and starting tips. Second part of the question: is it rewarding enough to do it full time or more of a part-time side gig? So I'll tell my story real quick, and then whatever you guys would like to contribute as well. So for me, there was a lot of things that went into the decision about moving into the business. The breaking business was getting stronger, and it got to the point where between work and my side gig breaking business, I had no free time, so no family time. So it got to the point where I'm like, something's got to go. And I started looking at the things that really brought me joy, because that's what life's about, right? Is enjoying yourself. We only go around once. And no fault of my workplace, but, you know, the hobby and my family, and then way down like 2 floors below where I am now was my job. And so I was like, we could make the jump financially. We were smart in how we invested our money and stuff. So we kind of figured that, you know what, if it doesn't work out, we'll be okay. And more importantly, if it doesn't work out, I could always go back and get another job. And that's not a big deal. So I'm like, take the leap. I didn't want to regret not taking the leap. So I took the leap, and, you know, things have just worked out really, really well. So as far as starting tips, I think the best thing that you can do is just, you know, you gotta start slow. I see so many people, you know, this interesting thing about COVID is that so many people are staying home. I've seen so many people turn into like breakers in the last like 2 months, that, you know, they're trying to do what others are doing that have been doing it for years. And I'm like, you've got to build your clientele and build your business. It's like that for anything you have to do. You can't just like leap. You don't get to skip all the hard part, all the hard work, right? So start small, do something that you love, because if you don't love doing it, it's always going to be a job. But, you know, find what brings you joy, and look for ways to try to figure out how to make it worthwhile to you. I will tell you this: if my wife didn't have the job that she did, and if we weren't smart with our money when I did have a corporate job, I could not afford to do what I do now. I make so little money breaking. I mean, I think it would shock you guys. I don't do it to get rich. That's not my plan. I do it because I have a lot of fun, and I make enough to pay my bills and set a little aside for my daughter to go to school. That's it. That's what brings me joy. So it's probably not a business that you're going to retire a millionaire with. So, you know, you got to decide: is it something that means more to you, that you make a lot of money, or you have a lot of opportunity that way, or is it something where it's like, hey, I really enjoy this? So, yeah, you have to do that. What about for you guys? Now, Tim, you balance a pretty hectic job and have a lot of investment into the hobby as well, almost like 2 full-time gigs, kind of. So.
Yeah, I mean, my real job is it's awesome. I love it. I'm not going to get into too much of that. But with the card stuff, I definitely rein it in. I definitely put a cap on how many shows I do. Because of where we live, again, I could do a show every weekend if I wanted to, and I don't. I have my select few that I do, and that's fine. But I also have a pretty big customer base that come to me for, specific things, whether I have it in stock or if they come to me to go procure it for them. So that's the fun part too, is I get to go buy really awesome stuff.
And that was something you had to build, right, Tim? I mean, that's not something you just do overnight. I think some people think that, getting into a business like owning a card shop, becoming a breaker, just selling things online, it's easy street. Oh, it's just easy. It's easy money. This will be simple.
No, it's not that easy.
No, it's not, and it's not a highly lucrative thing either. I do it because it's a fun thing for me to do. I don't do this is my fantasy league. I don't do fantasy league, so this is my fantasy league. So it keeps me up to date on players and other teams that I might not be watching because they're not my hometown or my favorite. Because it's not like how it used to be where we would get up every morning before school and watch Sports Center and you could keep up on what everybody was doing around the leagues. But to go back a little bit, it takes a lot of time, and I've been doing this for a long time. So it just I'd say probably about 5 years ago is where I had to really rein it in because it was getting to the point where it was like, I got to hang out with the family every so often.
Yeah, you gotta hang out with the wife and what are their names? Those two little ones that run around.
So, yeah, I have 14-year-old twins, and it's pretty cool because they actually travel to the shows with me. They're my primary security system for the shows. So.
Mike, what about you? I mean, I don't know if we've ever talked about like what your balance is and whatnot between hobby and I don't even know if do you work outside of the hobby? I don't know if we've ever.
No, I do this full time. This is my 100% gig.
Cool.
I kind of stumbled into it. I didn't necessarily dream up that I was gonna be selling cards on eBay one day. I bought a case of classic football. I got into a couple breaks. And then I got roped into a NASCAR break, and I ended up getting a case of NASCAR National Treasures, put it on eBay. It started selling really fast. I'm like, all right, I could do this. Started pulling out some of my older cards, started learning a little bit, started talking to some people on Twitter, learning about the Twitter aspect of the whole card game. And all of a sudden, the cards started flying. I started getting into some more breaks, getting some more inventory. Cards started flying out the door. I said, I'm making enough, I'm doing enough sales that I need to contact LegalZoom and get a sales tax number and do all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of went from there. I kind of wish I would have planned more because I would have put together a real business plan. I know how to do that stuff. I do have a little bit of a background in that, but I just kind of stumbled into it and it just started snowballing on me. So I've really been just kind of stumbling through this the first year. I made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of things went right too. And I'm here in year 2. And
you're still going, right? Yeah.
I'm definitely leaning at guys like Timmy that wealth of knowledge that have been doing this for years, and I'm definitely trying to learn as much as I can. And I'm still learning just as much as some of the guys in chat are. I just got in a little bit sooner.
Yeah. I think the only other piece of advice I would offer is that to anyone who's interested in pursuing this, just like anything else, I think that I've been blessed to be able to work in a bunch of different industries, healthcare, automotive, sales, and now cards, is that it's going to be what you put into it. I mean, if this is your dream, if your dream is to own a shop, if your dream is to work independently as your own boss in a business, if your dream is a breaker, you gotta put your heart and soul into it. I mean, there are days they're very few, and it's only for a brief period, but there are days where I miss just having a 40-hour-a-week job. And it's now I know it's rare, but I mean, in any given week, I am on YouTube for 24 hours. I'm working at home another 60 to 70. I mean, there is very little off time in this job as I'm in startup mode, and I'm still in startup mode. So it is a ton of work, but it's been incredibly rewarding, and it can be rewarding. So I think the advice that I would give somebody is that if you have a dream of whatever it is, even if it's not card related, I tell you to go for it. Just go for it, because you don't want to get through life. I had an uncle, great guy. He's in his 80s now, and his biggest regret in life was he always wanted to own his own business, and he never did. He never did. He said it was the only thing I wanted to see if I could do it myself, and I never did it, and I regret that. And I don't want to be like that. I want to be happy with the choices that I made, and this was something that I wanted to do. I always wanted to own my own business. I always wanted to go at it on my own and see what I can build and create. It just so happened that the card industry was a part of that, became a part of that plan a couple years ago. So, I would say go for it, but you're gonna work hard. You're gonna stumble. You're gonna have hiccups, but those are what make or break you. So you can learn a ton along the way. But I would say the key thing is that if you can't enjoy what you're doing, then I would look to find and do something different. If what you're doing now isn't bringing you joy, find something that is. Life's too short not to.
I feel like you gotta love spreadsheets a little bit too. I've
gotten to know Excel way better than I thought I ever would.
You know what I mean? Like if you hate spreadsheets, this is not the game for you.
Yeah.
I would really like to, one of these days what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna sit in on a Mikey D break, and I'm gonna record
Anytime.
From what you're doing, because the people don't realize what you're doing.
Oh, yep.
When you're breaking, you have, Mikey, am I right? You have 3 or 4 screens going at one time, right?
3 screens and about 9 different things on each. On the whole setup.
I have never seen. Mikey is a machine. I've never seen anything like it. But he had to have that down years ago, because I know what he, with his corporate gig, that was how it was. But Mikey's a machine, and when that camera turns off, this business does not stop. I mean, that it's the constant procurement of, what do we break next? How do my people really like this? I need to get more of it. I think the Gold Rush is a perfect example of, you not just try to procure the products so you can be on 3 nights a week is constantly in motion.
Yeah, it's crazy, and what the interesting thing is that I think when a lot of people think of breaking as a job or a profession or whatever, they're like, oh, being on camera is just so awesome, and I'm like, it is one of the coolest parts of the job. It is so great. It's about 10% of the job, but it is awesome. It's that all those logistical things, like Mike said. I mean, I can't even tell you how much I've had to learn with Excel and P&L statements and accounting. Like, I hate math, and you guys know that break with me. I hate doing math, and here I am every single day tracking every penny and expense and looking at all these various things, making sure I'm prepared for taxes and all that stuff. So. It is a little nutty to see behind the curtain and the wizard. And I do appreciate that Brad and Josh, both of who've been here when I've been absolutely slammed, are saying in the chat room right now, I don't actually do anything. But
they know better.
Thanks. Yeah, I know deep down they do. But you're right, Tim. I should have one more camera in the back that literally should just. I thought about doing this once actually, which I thought, and I still might, is put my phone on like a stand and do a time lapse for a break night. So see like what an 8-hour break night looks like in a 45-second clip, and just like how much crazy stuff goes on.
And then do it again when you have to ship all those cards out, because that is.
I mean, if you guys think I do a lot on break nights, you should see this room on Monday when I'm shipping everything out. I mean. If you see behind, there are tables packed with cards. I'm putting out 200 packages a day or a week. It's crazy. And Mike, I know that you are too, with how much you guys are selling on eBay. It's just, the sorting, the shipping, the packaging. It is crazy how much goes on.
I regularly bribe my postman because I just feel bad, to be honest. I'll leave a drink out, like a bottle of water, a candy bar, bag of chips. It's just something to say, hey man, I appreciate you. I know.
Something to say sorry.
Yeah, like like nobody else is giving them all this in the neighborhood. It's just me.
My mail lady yesterday, Mike, she goes, yeah, in general the post office isn't really doing that well. That's kind of news right now. But she's like, oh, I tell everybody at my office that I have this one guy who gives me a whole bunch of stuff every week, and I'm like, hey, happy to support. She's like, yeah, I love coming here because you always have a bunch of stuff for me to do and scan. And I'm like, that's cool. So. And I love her because she's very, very nice, and she always brings treats for my dog. So there's at least two people in the house that love it anytime the mail lady comes. So yeah, it is nuts. Troy, I didn't know you were a mail person. That's awesome. Oh man, I ship everything USPS if I can. I was telling her that I was like, unless it's like there are some packages if they're going to the West Coast that it's just the post office is not the best way to go. It might be at like a $15 difference, but if it's like $1.50 difference, I'm always going post office, always. So, and I know when I send my stuff to Mike, it's got to go post office.
Yes, please. Oh, I've had so much trouble with UPS. That was one of the biggest mistakes I had the first year was dealing with UPS. It's like, nope, out the door with them. They don't service well in my area. If I get a package, it's at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night at best. If I'm lucky, I just can't. They can't custom mustard in Harrisburg.
Yeah. Brad was asking earlier to go back to something on eBay about sales and taxes. How have you guys seen that's affected your sales? Because I just bought a couple of big cards. They arrived today. I'm very excited. But yeah, I had to pay tax on them. It's the first time I bought something on eBay for a while. Now I'd heard that, so I wasn't too surprised. But are you finding that that's affecting sale prices or anything for you guys, or what are you doing about that?
I don't think it's really affected anything. I get people that message me with their offers, be like, I'm offering this because I got to pay sales tax, and and I think that if they're buying cards on eBay, they're especially at this point now, they're probably pretty used to it. That they're you buy something on eBay and you live in a state that eBay is collecting those sales taxes.
You're gonna pay.
Then yeah, it's you're used to it. But even outside of that, for what I think that what the three of us do, there's taxes outside of that, you have, income wise in your business taxes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what he was asking about in regards to, was it more the people buying and having to pay taxes? Are we seeing that dip into what we sell things for? No, I don't think so. But honestly, if you're doing more than, I don't know what the threshold is, but more than 1,000 or 2 of sales, you have to claim that stuff on your tax.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something that's really interesting too. So obviously I've been talking to my accountant a lot because this whole business thing is new to me. And we talk a lot about like collection of sales tax and how that's going to be. And one of the things that we discuss is I think there's going to be a time, probably not too far in the distant future, where you're going to pay taxes on brake spots. I think it's going to happen. I think it just depends on how this interstate commerce goes. It's either that, or you're going to have to prove you're a resale business and work right around that. So we've looked at how we're addressing that and so forth, and others are as well. But who knows? I would just say, once again, roll with the punches. So we didn't have to pay sales tax on eBay, and now we do. Maybe that's affected sales. Maybe it hasn't. I don't sell too much on eBay, but it hasn't really done my side. I haven't seen sales hinder on that. I've seen similar type offers and so forth as before. So I don't know if it's necessarily affected. It's probably one of those things like anything else where buyers are going to be like, man, this sucks. I got to pay sales tax. And then they buy the card anyway. So yeah, it's just like, man, I got a redemption, but I'm going to send it in anyway. Oh, that sucks. They no longer do expired redemptions. I'm still going to buy Panini products anyway. So, it's it's one of those things where, yeah, it'd be nice if we didn't have to do that, but you know, it is what it is, and it's not worth spending your energy crying about, you know.
I got a curious question. Do like Brad news guy? It's not too personal. Like, like your Michigan guys have to pay sales tax because they're in Michigan, or is that not a thing?
Not necessarily.
Okay, no, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure about that.
No. If you've got there's LLCs implications and business to business for resale things that you can do. So
I was just wondering.
Go ahead, Mike.
I bought some
Oh, you're breaking up, homie.
stuff from Steel City, and they're in state. Sorry, I'm sorry. Oh shit.
No, you're good.
Are you good?
My bad.
No, it's all good.
Did you lose me? I think you guys lost me there for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you're frozen now. It's good because you're in this pose. You're in this like very inquisitive pose, and you're frozen. It's kind of like you're making a very big point, and you're frozen in that thought. So here's what I would. Hey, here's the only thing I would say is that if you do ever have questions about tax implications or anything like that, we are not professionals. Talk to your accountant. Talk to a professional or whatever. They're the ones that might be able to better help you. Oh, okay. So you're back, but now you've switched places with Tim on the live stream. So I'm going to switch your names here.
I'll just.
So now,
Sorry,
Mike, you're now on the bottom of the stream, and Tim's up top here. So there you go. Tim, new perspective for you.
Well, no, and I also have a thought on, you know, when people are talking about the sales taxes and, you know, you see it a lot on the Twitter and the Facebook buy sell. You know, if anybody's going to complain about the taxes or the fees, you know, especially like with PayPal, I see these posts. You know, well, if you pay with PayPal friends and family, you're going to pay this price. If you pay with the goods and services, you're going to pay this. I generally stay away from those people because if they're willing to pinch that quarter till that eagle screams, I probably don't want to be doing business with them because they're cutting corners elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah, not worth it. So, so Tim, so for kind of pivoting here to a new topic, let's go back to Jordan really quick. Because one, I just think his cards are awesome, and two, with the documentary, his stuff is just exploding right now. For someone who's watching or listening into the chat right now, who's interested in either getting Jordans to flip or trying to rip a product to get a really cool Jordan without, you know, being 86, 87 Fleer, what do you think? What would be a good product that, hey, here's, you know, look at this product, there's some cool inserts or there's some cool Jordan cards that you might be able to hit and it's not going to cost you an arm or a leg. Any recommendations?
Everything is costing an arm and a leg right now.
I mean, touche,
you know, I think that the 92, 93 products are kind of the go-to because you're kind of double dipping there. You're getting the Jordan cards, you're getting the Jordan insert. One of our biggest sellers over the past couple of weeks has been 92, 93 Stadium Club Series 2 because you're getting the Shaq rookie cards in the Series 2. You're getting the Morning rookie cards, but also the Beam Team.
I love the Beam Teams. God, I love
the
Beam Teams. Those are so cool.
Beam Team is my jam.
What's the frequency of those? How many do you get in a box?
So you get one Beam Team per box. The stuff that I have left, so one of the rarer versions of the boxes is the Jumbos, and that's what I have left. All my 92, 93 Stadium Club, both series and one and two is sold out. And then we have 6 boxes of Jumbo left. So that would be number one. And then number two would probably be any of the Ultra products, so any of the Fleer Ultra products for basketball. But you're going to be getting pretty pricey because the Ultra was one of the first ones that had really cool inserts in them. You know, you got the Total D.
I remember that.
Yeah, Fleer always did a great job with their products with the inserts, especially starting 92, 93.
Yeah. I want to put together, I mean, I wouldn't really call it vintage, but I don't know what you'd even call it, but I want to put together a break with some older basketball stuff so bad. I think that'd be so much fun to rip, you know?
Yeah. It's different. It's interesting. Now, if you're buying boxes, the only thing that you have to be careful of is that you have to remember these are 25 to 30-year-old boxes.
Yeah.
Depending on how they were stored, they can stick, they can brick together.
Yep.
It's not always a lost cause. We've had really good luck with the deep freezing. I actually have one of the things I have here in my office is a chest freezer, and that, I mean, there's obviously other things in there for food, but that's why it's in here, is for deep freezing.
Yeah. So, guys, if you have an opportunity, if you have the chat room open on YouTube, some people have asked for your eBay channels, so you might want to drop a link. Please feel free to do so. And then I'll try to edit the description before the video goes live to add those as well, guys. But yeah, Tim and Mike, make sure you guys drop your eBay links in the chat box.
Okay. Well, mine is really easy. Mine is my Twitter handle. So without the @ symbol, so it's just Bone, GRMI. So it's super easy. But I'll post it here in the chat.
And I would post mine, but honestly, I think I only have 2 cards up right now, you know, and one of them's an extremely overpriced LeBron. So, Mike, are you Valley of Cards on eBay as well?
I'm also easy, just Valley of Cards. I'm very easy to find. There's also Valley of PWE Cards, just rebranded this week with all of our 5 and under PWE options.
You guys lucked out, because apparently I couldn't get Mikey B cards, so it's Mikey B cards 3 for me. So yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I've got three cards listed. Yeah, I probably need to step up my eBay game a little bit. Brad wants to know what deep freezing cards means. Now that he says it, I kind of want to as well. Tim, what's that mean?
So, you know, it's a deep freezer. So, you know, the big chest freezers that you use for storing frozen meat. So it's a deep freeze. It just goes a bit colder than just a regular, you know, refrigerator freezer combo. But usually what we'll do is we'll take and put the cards in there for, you know, a couple of days. It's not 100%. It's just the best one that we've seen work. The most consistent. We used to do the steaming, and that it wasn't a good enough percentage. But when you get a brick, you'll kind of try anything out. So
what do you? So tell me, I'm so curious now. This is fascinating. So what do you put the cards in something, then you put it in the freezer for like overnight, and that helps them unstick?
Yeah. Yeah. So not over. I mean, usually overnight isn't enough time, but a couple of days, we leave them in there, and then you pull them out. What you try to do is, especially if it's packed, that's pretty easy, because then you're only dealing with 15 to 20 cards, maybe at the most. And then a couple of, you just pull them out, they'll pop right off. We've had really good luck with that with the Stadium Club, the Fleer Ultra, and then there was a bunch of football products in early 2000. It was something that it was some of the ingredients that they were using in the UV gloss coating that they were sticking and bricking pretty bad. One of them, was it was one of the 2000 football products that we had to do that with, and we had, of course, with the Tom Brady in there, we wanted to be able to open those and get those unbricked, and it worked on those.
Nice. So Brad has a question, eBay related, that I think is kind of interesting as well. He said, PYE, so plain white envelope in eBay, how do you ship without damage and returns, and what's your cutoff price? I'll answer my portion real quick. I'm very curious to hear about you guys as bigger sellers. Me personally, I don't ship PYE for anything. I don't care if it's social media purchases, eBay, or anything like that else. If you're buying something from me, whether it's 1 card or 100, it's in a bubble mailer, well protected. I don't even care if it's a 10-cent card. That's how I ship stuff. So, Mike and Tim, what are your thoughts about sending cards in envelopes for anything, but in particular eBay? I don't know. I'm curious what you think.
Well, I use the 2 accounts approach. Like the regular value of cards is 100% tracking all the time. We're a top-rated seller. I don't even give it an option. It's even in my listing descriptions. Please don't ask. We're not going to do plain white envelope. But then I have the value of PWE cards, the number of 2 account, $5 and under is my cutoff point. We got all kinds of options in between there from $1 to $5. And my way is I use what are they, a 3 by 5 1/8 by 6.5 envelope. I use a 70-cent non-machinable stamp. Some people like to use a stamp. I use return address labels. I use 2 team bags for every 1 card. I don't do any more than 2 cards at a time in a 55 point top loader. That's the best way to do it. I get very few. The most I've had more trouble lately because it's taken a little bit longer on first class, and people aren't understanding that. Listen, it's just going to take a couple extra days because everything that's going on. But people are understanding once you explain it to them. They're just, they're easy to complain. That's just how eBay is. But
So, Mike,
once
what
you
do
let them know, like, hey, things are taking an extra couple days, people have been pretty understanding.
So, Mike, what do you do? Because obviously, you can't track a PYE, and you do open yourself up to, potential.
You do, but it's such a few. At least for me, and maybe this is different because I do mostly football, not baseball and basketball, and I do see a lot of people having trouble. And I feel like it's more with the baseball and basketball buyers, not to just isolate them, but I haven't had that trouble with people like faking that they got it and they really got it. I mean, most of the trouble I've had have been self-inflicted. Either maybe I messed up and sent I once or twice. A Hunter. I just did a Hunter Renfro Donruss insert instead of the other Donruss insert or whatever,
Yeah.
and hey, I just grabbed the wrong card. They're right next to each other. My fault, guy. I refunded them, and I even signed the right card just because it's my mess up.
Oh, full disclosure,
but,
I do it.
It really doesn't happen that
Yeah.
much. It really isn't that big of a problem where things get lost. I mean, you're looking at 1 or 2 a month, maybe 3 or 4 at tops. It's not that bad.
It happens to me every once in a while too. I'll have people with very similar names, and I'll get cards switched. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's happened once or twice with you, Mike, where I've sent somebody else your card. I'm so used to sending Mike big mail days that I just send him other people's cards. But it's how I save on postage. No, I'm just kidding. It does happen. But yeah, me personally. But that's a great nugget of advice, Mike. That little 30-second clip there of the envelope, what you use with the 2 team bags and a 55 point and the non-machinable stamp. So if you are going to do PYE on eBay or other, that's a really good recommendation. Tim, what about you?
Oh, sorry, just one thing. I do put one of those cards with a little thank you sticker in every one of those as well.
Yeah, there you go.
Stickers are big, guys. Thank you stickers.
Easy. Best $8 you'll spend, right?
Yes, sir.
Tim, any suggestions? You do any PYE or anything like that?
I don't do any PWE because anything that I put on eBay is probably going to be $10 plus, and then with the with the sub $10 stuff, I burn through that stuff like it's water when we do the shows. So I have that outlet that for the $1 boxes, $2 boxes, $5 boxes. That's my bread and butter at shows. So I really don't have to do that on eBay.
Yeah, and I'll tell you guys too. I know it's kind of on topic to Tim's point, but a little off topic from eBay sales is that if you want to know one of the things that Tim does extremely well at card shows is his $1, $5, $2 boxes or whatever. These 2, 4, 5 rows stacked with inserts, numbers, rookie, relics, or whatever. I can't even tell you how many. I mean, there's always somebody coming through that stuff. I mean, Tim sells those crazy. I always tell people that are like, I want to do shows. What should I do? I mean, I've gone to shows, and I the very first show I did, I think I brought all my big stuff, right? And I sold like 2 cards. The next show I did, I brought all my my mid-level, and then I brought a couple boxes of my low-level. I crushed those low-level stuff. Quarter boxes, $1 boxes, $2 boxes. I'm telling you guys, for shows, make sure that you have a couple of those. Those are going to be your bread and butter for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Mike, do you do any shows?
I even have guys that, Mikey saw it, that will stand and wait for me to show up to the shows. They buy the stuff by the box. I mean, they bring carts just to take stuff away from my table. And usually when that happens, I have to reload right quick. I start hunting show for dealers that might be a little bit hungry.
Yeah. Mike, do you do any shows?
No, we don't really have much in my area as far as shows. I wish it was more of an option. I'm kind of jealous of you guys. I do remember back in the day when they were around an area. I loved those quarter boxes. There was even one guy, he used to pull a folding chair out and pull it around because I would stand there for like 2.5 hours, and I'd page through every single card in the quarter box and pull out every 49er, every Atlanta Brave, every Philadelphia Sixer, every card that I thought maybe one of my buddies might want or would want to trade me. And I'd stand there and just shoot it with them. And I had a great time. I love those $quarter boxes. That's just some of the best times I had at shows in my experience.
Absolutely. Tim, Josh says that as soon as this is over, you need to connect with him so he can sell you all his cheap stuff.
Hey, you know what? Josh and I have worked together on a few deals, and man, what a peach of a dude that guy is.
Totally, absolutely. I've done a couple deals with Josh, and he's been great to trade with, to whatever, and he got me a really cool birthday present that we opened last night on the stream. So thank you for that, Josh. Again, that was awesome.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, all right. I know Tim, you said you didn't want to go too ultra late and all that good stuff, but are you guys good for, like, if we have some questions, maybe another quick 30 minutes and we'll shut it down at 9, or is that good?
It's till 9. I'm fine. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
All right, so guys, we'll go ahead and put a time. I know that I need to do some time limit because I'm responsible for putting the kiddo to bed tonight. So what other questions do you have, guys? We got 30 minutes till the end. So what else do you want to know? What other questions do you have?
I can offer it to the group. I'm running this off of a phone. Or actually, no, I'm not.
Hey Tim, you might want to speak up a little bit. I'm having a little problem hearing you. I don't know if you're further from the mic, but ever since you and Mike switched places, now all of a sudden you're quieter.
Oh, I caused trouble. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
No, I'm having trouble charging my phone here. Hang on.
It's probably not an Apple product.
Bite me, Mike.
Mikey, Mikey, I got a question for you, kind of like an inside of the mind of the breaker.
Yeah, what's up?
I was our buddy Sal Moreno actually DM'd me earlier, and we're both Niner fans. He was like, "Man, since we didn't draft any, we didn't really go for any big ticket items this year. Maybe we're going to be a little bit cheaper in breaks." And I said, it's going to be tough because the Niners, we got a lot of really good Hall of Famers and veterans, but there isn't those guys in every set, and you don't always have the group break checklist to go off of, or a checklist from the manufacturer. How do you? What's your?
Sure.
I don't need to know your exact numbers or anything. I'm not asking that, but just sort of what's your thought process on changing where a team lies in your breaks? All right, well, this team's not going to be as popular.
There's a lot of
down a little bit.
Yeah. There's a ton of variables that go into how I price the teams. When possible, I try to make sure the checklist is out, and I leverage that because the big thing for me when the checklist is out is I don't want a team that has fewer hits to be too expensive. So I try to manage that out, but usually I kind of tier the teams. So for this year for football, your higher tier teams are going to be the Cardinals and the Giants. Just below that, you're usually going to have some mix of the Patriots, the Redskins, and the Chiefs. And then just below that, you're starting to get into Ravens, Raiders, and 49er territory, maybe Seahawks, depending. So they're kind of tiered, and a lot of that goes into how is it rookie heavy, the product? Are there veterans? So if you look at a product like Contenders, Contenders is going to be very rookie autograph heavy. So the big rookie teams should be more expensive. But then you get into a product like National Treasures where all teams have deep checklists. Then you have to start taking into the variables. Like a team like the 49ers, in the checklist, you're probably going to see Steve Young and Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and some of these other players. So you have to kind of take that into account. So I don't have a set, I don't get a case and say, all right, I'm going to make X percentage and then price it according to that. The prices are pretty fluid. I take a look mostly at how many hits do they have? What's the desirability of the team? How are the teams selling? Like, there are some teams that in every single break I underprice, and I underprice them because no matter what I price them at, I can't seem to sell them. And I'm not going to say what those teams are, but there are certain teams that you can always find my breaks way cheaper than anywhere else because I can't sell this team. And so forth. But I never do it the other way where I'm like, I know Brad's going to buy the Lions in every break, so I'm just going to inflate that by 50%. No, I don't do that either. So it's partly science, and there's been times where it's been good, and there have been times where I've priced a break too early. I'll use Tribute as a prime example. I thought I did a good job before the checklist. It just goes to show you how much I need to learn for baseball. And when the checklist came out and other breakers did PYT, and I was looking around, I was like, oh, I have the Yankees $200 cheaper than every other breaker I'm looking at. So somebody stole that one. And that happens. But I think you just have to adjust accordingly and so forth. But you will see fluctuations from time to time. But I take all those things into account, as well as some other variables as well. It sounds complicated. It's not rocket science, but there are a lot of things that go into it. A lot of that math stuff I hate.
Do you feel like the products have gotten a little more consistent, like year to year? Like, this is a rookie product,
Yeah.
and it stayed. I felt like, just looking back 15, 16, 17, a lot of the products were sort of transitioning, where I think we know now, like, this is an investor product, this is a rookie product,
Yep.
this is a veteran heavy product. I think that's become a little more consistent.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's some pretty consistent sets that are like, all right, I know that I need to focus more on the teams with bigger rookies. Now, that doesn't mean that, in contenders you can still pull a Mahomes auto, but there might be 15 of them, right? So, Kansas City's going to be priced a little bit differently because they have fewer rookies and so forth. So you do have some of that you adjust to, but the other thing is, I take a look at sometimes how long it takes to sell teams. So, if, for instance, I can never sell the Bengals in a break or anything like that, I might say, all right, let me price this a little bit lower and see if someone uses it so they don't end up
Won't have that problem anymore.
No, that problem is gone. So, I almost wonder next year if it's going to be like, where do I price the Patriots? Nobody wants to buy these guys. So who
Patriots
knows?
might end up being one of the bottom teams next year because they didn't really get any rookies. They're not going to have many veterans.
Yeah,
the desire might not be there.
they're going to be like the Falcons, right? You got quarterback and one receiver, so you get Edelman and Stidham, and that's about it. So, who knows?
Falcons are tough, man. It'd be better if like Ryan and Julio signed anything ever, too.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not really in many of the products.
Yeah, Timmy, you were saying something. We missed you though. While you were going through a hurricane over there.
I think that Belichick is going to be the only one that's going to be able to sign and push product for the Patriots.
A Belichick auto. I long for the day where I pull one of those so I can.
I want a Belichick inscription that says "Next question."
Oh my God! Yeah,
that would be great.
Next question.
Next question. We're on to the next question.
I actually got some of those 8x10s from Mikey, and one of the 8x10s I got was a Mike Ditka flipping the bird.
Yeah.
I've never seen that picture.
It's great.
To the sideline.
It's great.
That's great. Bradley wants to go back to eBay for a question about how do you effectively list hundreds of cards? Well, that's a great question.
Sleep deprivation.
Yeah. What about you, Tim?
No, I'm definitely defaulting to Timmy on this. He's got to be better at it than me.
So this is what you need. If you're going to sell on eBay, you go get one of these. Okay, it's a studio. It's got LED lights in there. And then get yourself some of these.
Yeah.
You put them in there. I personally, if I can't, so my ideas was, how do I list a card in under a minute?
Yes.
Okay, so if I can't list a card in under a minute, I have to figure out a different way to do it. The fastest way to get the cards listed right now is using your phone or an iPad or a tablet. The eBay app is just bonkers. It's it's really well built. So that's, it takes a lot. To do 100 listings, it's going to take time. But even for me, I get tired of it. And what I'll do is I'll just say, hey, I'm going to sit down, after dinner, I'm just going to list 10 items. 10 items you can get done in, 15 to 20 minutes once you figure in your time of getting set up and everything. But then you end up listing 20 or 30. So, but that's the thing, is just, little bits and pieces. Don't sit down and do 100 listings, because you'll never list on eBay again if you do that, because you're going to get burned.
It's miserable. Yeah.
Just start little, and that, and there's no easy way to do it. You just have to get in there and you have to learn.
So here's my question, and one of the things that spurs me from eBay is I have not found, in fact, now when I was using my MacBook, so a little shout out to Apple, I could take all the pictures on my iPhone, so I could photograph 40 cards, I could transfer them all to iPhoto, and then I could just pull out of that for each listing super fast. Now that my primary computer is Windows and I can't do that, what's your guys' methodology for, I want to list 20 cards, I've got all of them pictured. Do you shift all those pictures on, or do you literally do it from your phone, or what's your methodology there? Because what I found is that it takes forever to get all the pictures out, get them onto my desktop, and then pull them there. I know I'm not doing it the most time-effective way.
I just run it off my phone, and I use a Bluetooth keyboard for my phone.
Oh.
So that keeps the typing quick, so you're not typing on your phone like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, because that's if I'm gonna sit down and do 10 listings, I'm gonna take those 10 cards. I'm gonna take the proper pictures. For most cards, I just do the front and the back. I'm not gonna get into every single corner. But yeah, that's the quickest way to do it, is just run a Bluetooth keyboard and use your phone or your tablet. And I have a little tripod that my phone is on right now, so it just sits there, and I just I put the card up, hit the button, take the picture, turn it around, hit the button, take the picture. It just
and then you grab that keyboard and you do it right there on your phone, huh?
Yep.
Nice.
100%. And then that way, if I'm out on vacation, I have a little stack of cards I take with me on vacation.
Nice.
I'm listing.
Mike, what do you do? How do you do so many listings?
I would actually say I'm going to probably take a little bit of Timmy's advice and probably work that into mine. I just take the pictures on I have my Samsung 9 here or whatever, and I take pictures on that, and I have it connected with a USB cord to my computer, and I just drag and drop the pictures after I take them out of the folder, from the camera folder into the folder I'm working out of, and that's the ugliness of it, man. It's not too pretty.
Yeah, I know some people use scanners and do it that way. Renell was asking on the. Go ahead.
I do use a scanner for the lots. Like if I'm doing like an 8-card lot, I usually put that on the scanner top and just drop that through.
So Renell was asking if 2 pictures are enough. I've always found that with most of my listings, I do a front and a back picture. Even if there's nothing on the back, like it's not numbered, I still do a picture on the back. If it's like a graded card, I will do a 3rd picture that's a close-up of the grade, like the PSA label or the BGS label. I used to do a close-up of the number of the card, so if it was like 5 of 10, I would do a close-up photo of the 5 of 10, but I'm even starting to do that less and less. So, I agree with Tim. If you're listing a lot, it's about efficiency. Otherwise, you're going to burn 8 hours to upload 6 cards, and you're going to hate yourself. So it's about and this sounds wrong, but it's like, what's the minimum I need to do that will maximize the sale? And I don't want to do anything more than that. So if I don't have to click all the 900 boxes that the card is, I don't want to do that or whatever. I don't need to say that it's NFL and that it's from this season. People can figure that out. But I do make sure that my titles are spot on, my product descriptions. My product descriptions are usually pretty basic. I'll tell you guys this much. If you want to know a great example, and Tim, I'm just saying this because I haven't seen your listings, but Mike's listings are amazing when you look at like information, how the card will be delivered. It's like everything you'd ever want to know. And I'm like, mine's just like, it's the title and then it's, shipping is, or you got to pay within 48 hours and shipping's this much. That's all I say. And I'm like, oh, I'm probably missing out there. I should probably have that in a document and just cut and paste. But
Well, that's been an evolution too. I mean, I started out with a much smaller spiel, and it just, as people kept asking certain questions, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put it in there. And a lot of people don't even read the description anyways. They still ask the same questions that are in the listing or description anyways. But still, it is a good idea to have a uniform description for everything. It gives you a little bit of authenticity. It makes you look like a real business, and you're not just some guy peddling cards out of the back of your mom's house or whatever. It makes you look like you really know what you're doing on eBay, and especially these days when there's a lot of shady business out there, it helps to look real.
Yeah,
I definitely highly recommend that.
I agree. I'm so subtle. I like to take my picture with my break background where you can just barely see the website. So you got a very clear picture of the card, and just above it, blurry, you see that Mikey V card. So,
one of the biggest things that we ended up doing, and we did it about a year and a half ago, was we started doing, and I'm going to catch a bunch of crap for this, but we started doing free shipping and same day shipping. Once we made that change, our sales went through the roof. Even with the free shipping, you just build it into the price, because everything we don't do auctions. So I just kind of build it into the price, and how many times I just get people that just buy it, they don't even make an offer. It's just amazing what a difference that made. The only thing that I don't do the free shipping on is the heavier products. So if I'm shipping cases or bigger full boxes, I'll make them pay like a flat $10 or something, just kind of help out with that. But I think the biggest one is same day shipping, and you can set that in your settings where that clock doesn't start. So if someone pays right now, I don't have to ship that card out right now, but the cutoff is like 4 o'clock in the morning. So if somebody comes in and buys something at 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't have to ship that out that day.
Yeah.
I can, get it packaged up and ready to go, and then ship it out the next day, and then I'm still compliant. But that's a big thing with eBay. So I see the question on any tips for getting on the first page on eBay: free shipping, same day delivery, or same day shipping.
Yep. Really good product descriptions. If you get, watchers on your product, I mean, that's why in the break room every night when one of our crew members have a really big card, we go incentivize the break crew to go watch it, because you get a card with a lot of watchers, that's going to draw more attention. Good product descriptions. I mean, sometimes it is worth those couple extra seconds to make sure you're clicking the right buttons and putting all those things in. Those are the best things that you can do. And then the other thing is, depending on the card, and I have not investigated this, so I can't say I'm an expert at all, is that if you got a big card that you think you're going to do really well on, you can always pay to have it placed. You can sponsor. eBay has no shortages of ways that they would be happy to charge you to enhance your listing. So there are certain ways that you can do it.
Another thing I'd recommend is, if you have one of those cards that you think are really hot, look at your other cards that are connected to that card. Yeah. And similar cards, you can get some runoff off of that big card. I mean, do you think I was hesitating to put Daniel Jones cards up while I was selling that redemption? Heck no, I was putting every Daniel Jones up I had, because I had all those Daniel Jones eyeballs on my account. So
absolutely.
Use it.
There's a reason why Amazon has a huge section that says people who bought this also buy this, because guess what? Yep. They typically will buy something else too. So my philosophy is always that if Amazon is doing it, that's probably the best thing to do, because they know what the hell they're doing. So
they're doing something right.
They are doing something right. Not bad for a company that just sells books online from a couple years ago. Yeah. So interesting. So, but yeah. So no, this has been really good tips, guys, and I appreciate all the really good information. We've covered a lot of really cool topics this time. So we have a couple minutes, about 20 minutes left, waiting for any other questions in the chat. Anything else, general topics, or anything you guys wanted to cover, anything you got on your chest, or things you're excited for maybe with the hobby, or a new acquisition that you have that you want to talk a little bit about? Anything from your perspectives?
No, that's the problem. Is it's kind of quiet with no new products coming. I mean, with the limited products coming out. Yeah. What do we? Let's get some 19 football prism in. Let's do that.
There we go. There we go.
I've been dying to do some 89 score football. I've been bugging you about that, Mikey.
I know. I fully expect.
I just think with our group, I think it would just be a fun night.
I'm telling you, Mike, whenever I can secure a box of that, we're doing it, and I fully expect a full amount of spots purchased from the value card. So,
oh, don't worry, I'll definitely buy. I think
want
you'd
to
probably
do
do
it.
like random pack or something like that. I'd probably be in for 8 or 10 packs. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I think and that's what's fun about breaking is that I think we've grown the community enough that we can take a chance on some of these products, and sometimes we discover things that like, oh, this stuff is so awesome, never would have known about it. They don't all hit, for every vault there's a super break. So but it is cool, and I love that we have a community now where a couple of people are like, hey, let's do this, and others will jump on board and be like, yeah, let's try that out. So I would love to in the next couple of weeks get that 89 score. I'd love to rip Tim. We talked earlier about some some top stadium club or some older basketball stuff like that. I think it would just be really, really fun to continue to mix it up. And I think you have to, because we can't rip the same product every week when there's nothing coming out, or else it gets a little dull. We got to mix it up. So whether that's different formats, different styles, or different product, it'd be really, really fun to kind of change it up a little bit and just, see what works. So if you guys...
I'm really excited about these. I'm really excited about these repacks. I think that's filling a void right now. And you were doing the other night, and I wrote it down. It was Gold Rush Vault.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that was awesome.
Wasn't that crazy?
I mean, and I wasn't involved in the break in regard. I didn't buy a spot or anything, but I was in it. I really enjoyed watching that getting broke, and I know that there was the whole chat was like, let's get more, and Mike's like, I can't.
I wish I could.
But I'll tell you what, the next time that gets released and you can get your hands on some, I'm gonna be at Mike EB hitting refresh, waiting for you to.
Yeah. You'll be pleased to know that one of the things I'm excited for is, like, I've been waiting to rip hockey for a long time, and it's hard to get hockey product as just a breaker, because Upper Deck's really nitpicky about who gets their product at distribution. So at least, but Hockey Vault is released. It's it releases Wednesday. It'll drop on the website Monday. I like hockey just because I get to slaughter the names, and that's fun for me. But there's no more hockey that I've been excited for than this. I cannot wait to break it, because I know there's going to be cool cards in there. It's going to be fun and exciting, and it's going to be the same thing as baseball and basketball and football. There's only going to be so many cases, and my rep is like, hey, listen, you're getting more cases than most people, but this isn't even going to make their website. I mean, it sells out in pre-sale, so it's a fun product. There have been some very good repack products that we've done. I'm excited to do my next round of hot packs. I'm starting to put that together, so hopefully in the next couple weeks that'll launch. There's a lot of cool stuff that's out there. I think that's a good. That along with the trickle of releases of new memorabilia, definitive, and some other products. I mean, that's helped to fill the void a little bit, but hopefully everything gets back on track and we start seeing some new product here really soon. But, in the meantime, we'll do some fun stuff around some of these other things, some of these alternative breaks, and have a blast with it. So question for you guys, and let me ask it two ways. If you could break anything, like be a part of a break, anything, money aside, what would it be? And then if I put the parameters that it couldn't be like something outrageous, like what would be a break that you would be like, oh man, I would love to do something like that sometime, that maybe you don't see all the time, an unconventional thing or whatever. So Timmy, what about you? What would be like money no object, outrageous break? What would you like to be a part of? And then realistically, what do you think you'd like to be a part of?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously my go-to would be a 86, 87 Fleer box. Get into a break on that. I've seen a few of them done. I've been at the National when it was done, where it was basically draft style for packs, and that was pretty amazing. I don't know with what's going on right now if that's those boxes have just gone crazy. I mean, January, I was involved with a sale of a box for 58, and now they're up to 100,000 for a box. So not sold, but that's if you wanted a box right now, you're gonna pay 6.
You're paying six figures. Yeah.
Yeah. So but for just a fun break, man, the 89 score, that is
now I gotta get it.
In price.
Between Mike and Tim, I'd fill the break. I gotta get it. All right, I'll find you.
I mean, with all those rookies, like, there's no product with that many Hall of Fame rookies in it. I mean, seriously.
Right. Except 86, 87 Fleer.
Well, yeah, pretty much. But I mean, even if you think about it, I mean, if you go for the count, I think 89 score football might have them beat. Maybe not like overall prestige, but I mean, when you start factoring in Chris Carter and Michael Irvin and Derek Thomas and so on and so forth, that 89 score is loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was an amazing product when it came out. Speaking from someone that ripped it in 1989. So it was just, it was a monster when it released, and it never let up.
So what about a modern product, Tim? What's a modern product that you'd like to rip?
Anything Prism.
Anything Prism? Yeah.
Anything Prism.
Yeah.
And if we're talking baseball, then Topps Chrome. Period.
Okay.
Prism and gold or in Chrome. Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
I've got to tell you, we started to do some Topps Chrome, and that has been extremely fun to break. I like that. I like that. The cards have good value, and I don't have to squeeze my eyes in the back and read a microscopic serial number to know if it's a short print.
Right.
I like the look. I'm very excited because Wednesday is the first time that we're going to rip Topps Chrome Sapphire, which, take a great product and then make every card cracked ice. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm very excited to see some of that, but I'm a big fan of that as well. Mike, what about you? I know
you have that on MikeyB.com yet?
It's sold out.
Oh.
The Sapphire break sold out in like 20 minutes, but
that doesn't surprise me at all. That Sapphire is that's a hot product.
Yeah, there'll be more, Timmy. I got some more for some mixers and stuff like that. So, Mike, what about you? What about like a Dream Break and then like something modern? What do you like?
Well, maybe 86 football. I think would be a lot of fun with Jerry Rice and Steve Young and Reggie White in there. I think that'd be a really fun one as far as like an expensive one. As far as something a little newer and less over the top, maybe like some like 04 football, something with like Manning, Rivers, and all them guys in it. That'd probably be fun.
Yeah.
See if,
I'm not even sure what like a good product would be. Back in those days, it's probably all Topps, wasn't it?
Yeah, we'd probably have to ask Gary what like the best Big Ben rookies are.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if that was like Bowman was still back then or Score.
Probably Topps Chrome. I mean, can you imagine a Big Ben refractor rookie? That'd be
huge.
Yeah, that'd be the one to have. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, that'd be sick. That would be sick. I think I agree with you, Tim, for all the same reasons about 86, 87 Flair. I was trying for the last minute in my head to figure out what would I say differently because I knew that's what you would say, and that's the one I would have as well. I think that would be an extremely cool break. I think it'd be really fun right now to rip, to chase like some of the big rookies. Like for modern product, I think it'd be fun to rip 2017 Prism and try to chase Mahomes. I'm a big Contenders guy, so ripping anything Contenders football I think is probably the most fun for me. I just love those sets. Those are great. I try to rip as much of that personal as I can. I think that's really fun. But Yeah, I like to open a little bit of everything, but the boxes don't necessarily have to be crazy big like NT or Flawless for me to really enjoy it. I actually get just as much joy as some of the other ones, except for Gypsy Queen. I'm convinced that is the devil. So never again, Gypsy Queen.
I'm not a Gypsy Queen fan. It's not a bad looking card, but it's a pain in the ass.
Oh man, it is painful, Mike. Uh-oh. Timmy's going to the stash.
Oh gosh.
Woo! That's nice for them being empty. What's in them? Or what was in them?
No, yeah, those are cracked open. That's 18-19 Flawless basketball. So, yeah, there was some biggies that came out of there.
I'm sure.
No.
The real question is, are you gonna rip some
number to 5?
Tim, are you gonna rip some 1920 NT basketball?
Will I?
Yeah.
No, but I will definitely participate in watching.
Yeah, so will I.
Same here.
I was gonna say, full disclosure, it isn't gonna be on my channel, but others will.
Do you want that?
No. When they told me the price and the guy was like, "This is a great price," I almost like threw up in my mouth a little bit. I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, it's insane. It just I can't. Yeah, I don't care how rich I am. I can't do it. I would just rather you open it, get your hits, and then I'll piece it in. I'll take what I want.
Yeah, I mean it'll be nuts. I mean I'm sure the Zion RPAs will be decent 5 figures.
I go for 100K.
Yeah, but it's like it's unreal what those will be. I'll watch it all the same just till someone pulls that Zion logo, man, and gets rich. Yeah, that would be nuts. So, well, guys, no other questions in the chat. We're getting a little close to our time. I gotta say, I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. These always go by so fast. They're so much fun. Yeah. So for those of you in the chat, or more importantly, for anyone watching this video after we have done the live stream, check out Tim, check out Mike B, aka Valley of Cards. And where does that come from, Tim? It always looks like, it always says Boner to me, but it's Bone, GRMI. So Bone, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I don't know. Anyway, but check these guys out on eBay. Check them out on all the social media, especially on Twitter. 2 of the best guys you'll ever meet in the hobby. Always happy to answer questions and always have really, really good stuff. So if you're looking for cool cards, these are 2 of the best guys that you can connect with right here. So, and then of course, on Twitter. Yeah, hit them up on Twitter. And then of course, don't forget, hit me up as well, Mikey B Cards at MikeyBCards.com, on Twitter and Instagram as well. I break on Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and new breaks drop on the website on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at noon Eastern Standard Time. All our breaks are almost sold out for tomorrow night, so hope to see you guys there. Tim, Mike, I hope to see you guys in the chat soon, and more importantly, I hope we get to share what we were talking about earlier, that better tasting beer when you're talking about cards. So
it's true. It's true.
It's been truly great. I'll stop the live stream if you guys want to hang on for just a second. But to everyone on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. We'll end this like we do everything else with the deuces.